Okay, it's time to play some more in Lamplight City. So, I've been doing some thinking. I think two of the people I put away were probably not the right ones. Just something I thought about the other day after streaming. I'm kind of convinced on the last one that we did, though, was actually right.
An ad for a brothel. At least they seem to know their audience. Yeah, at least you're already registered to vote. Having to go through that bureaucratic nightmare tonight would have just added insult to injury. I thought they were trying to encourage people to vote. With all these rules, it's a wonder anyone bothers.
Huh. So it's pretty much vote for Steam Tech or against it.
A list of fools who think their opinion will actually make a difference.
Excuse me.
Yes, how may I help you?
Atwood seems quite fond of advancing steam tech, doesn't he?
That he does. He's promised to fund research of ethericity, as well as introduce more automated technology to increase production and boost Vespuccia's economy. If social progress and futurism are important to you, you'd be wise to vote for him.
Is that your official endorsement?
No, sir. Merely stating the facts.
Leroy is really pushing this whole man of the people angle, isn't he?
Indeed. He wants to minimize the use of steam tech and ensure that people all have jobs. Leroy doesn't believe that ethericity exists, and instead wants to look into more practical energy sources. He also wants to prioritize the building of the bridge between Gascon and the Chum.
I feel like whoever we vote for is going to win.
Those facts into consideration when making your choice in the booth.
Or something like that.
Where is everybody?
I'm not sure. I was told to expect large crowds, but so far we haven't had more than about 50 people in here. The polls have only been open for a couple of hours, though. I imagine things will pick up around 8 o'clock.
Or it could just be that everyone has come to their senses and isn't wasting their time.
I'll just go cast my ballot then.
Very good, Mr. Fordham.
Time to go vote. Guess we gotta go for progress, right?
Well, that's taken care of. Thankfully, the Angel isn't a polling place, so we can still have a nice quiet evening.
What? My head is pounding. Damn withdrawal.
Actually, I think someone's knocking at the door.
Oh, right. Good afternoon, miss. If you're looking for Miss Upton, I'm afraid she's not in right now.
No, I've already spoken with Miss Upton. I'm looking for Mr. Miles
is this a new
Fordham.
case?
Oh, I see. Well, I'm Miles Fordham. What can I do for you, Miss...
Mrs. Emily Morgan. I have a problem, you see. Miss Upton said you'd be able to help.
I suppose you'd better come in. So, what seems to be the trouble?
It's my brother, Ronan Lisp. He was murdered 4 nights ago outside a tavern in the Chum.
How unfortunate. Please, go on.
The police took his body to the mortuary and investigated the crime scene, but they're out of ideas. I've been down there at the station every day, but they don't seem to care enough to look into it any further. All they've been able to determine was that it wasn't a robbery, and that the clothes he was wearing weren't his. My brother was a good man, Mr. Fordham. He would never have willingly gone to that part of town. I need to know why he was murdered, and I want whoever did it to pay for it.
Very well, Mrs. Morgan. I'll take your case.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Fordham.
I just need to know where your brother was killed, and where I might be able to contact you.
He was found outside the Silent Raven. It's on Alewife Avenue, on the west side of the Chum. Here, take this. It's a photo of Ronan. It might help your investigation.
He's dressed very weirdly.
And if you need to speak with me, you can come to my husband's bakery. It's here in Worcester, at 15 Drummond Street.
Very good. I'll begin my investigation right away.
Thank you again, Mr. Fordham. You have no idea how much this means to me.
Well, this case has our names written all over it. Maybe it'll be good practice for finding the man who caused my death, eh? Looks like that umbrella's gotten some good use. It was quite the rainstorm we had yesterday. A lady's silhouette. Pretty sure it just means the artist wasn't talented enough to draw her for real. Some fool in a hat. I never understood the appeal of silhouette portraits. What a handsome couple. Judging by the uncanny resemblance, I'd say these are Upton's parents.
Oh, so the guy we voted for lost. Wonder if that's related to who you vote for. Oh, wait, 73% of the vote? Justice killer? Oh, what is this on the last one? Van Dam's. Has been ruled a murder. Hey, it actually has his name in here. Roger DeVay. Does that mean we got it right? Because they probably wouldn't create multiple ones of these for each person. Brilliant work of our finest detectives. Wow.
Should have listened to your mother. You should have practiced.
That's the only one I feel
Mostly
confident
cookbooks.
about.
Yeah, at least you won't have to worry about starving while you're staying here.
But I'm pretty sure the other two were...
Not a very inspiring piece.
I didn't
Hell,
go
I could
hard
probably paint it
enough on
better. It looks pretty similar to the one in your bedroom. I like the color of this one better, though. Therein lies Upton's boudoir. As a matter of respect, the less said the better, I think.
Get going. Guess we'll go to the scene of the crime first. Oh wow, it's right in the middle of the street.
To think, in an instant, a man's life can be reduced to some scribbles on the filthy pavement.
This
Now's
place
not
even
the time to
closed
get
down.
poetic, Bill.
What a mess.
There's nothing.
To think, in an...
Now,
These advertisements are all at least 10 years out of date. It's an ad for whiskey. Or, perhaps, paint thinner. Sometimes it can be hard to tell the difference. I suppose you could do worse, as far as bar names go. My, this grog shop looks pretty rough, even by chum standards. Let's keep a low profile while you're in here, Miles.
This guy looks like the guy who was in the other place.
Doesn't look like cleaning up is high on the
Coffee
list
place.
of priorities around here.
You notice the further this game goes along, the less stuff you have to look at it in places. It's a little weird.
Looks like that's where they keep the good stuff. Of course, around here, good is an extremely relative term. They don't seem to have much variety in their beer selection.
excuse me, barmaid?
Hi, what do you need?
You know a man named Ronan Lisp?
Nah, never heard of him.
He was killed here 4 nights ago. The man in this ferrotype.
Oh, that one. Well, I never saw him before that night. I didn't talk to him. You with the police or something?
No, not at all. I'm just trying to help his sister find out what happened.
So are you done with the questions? Can I get you a drink or what?
Yeah, she's a shrewd businesswoman. You at least have to give her that.
Were you working on election night?
Pal, I'm here most every night.
So that's a yes, then?
Christ on a cracker, you ain't too bright, are ya? Yes, I was here on election night.
There's no need to be rude about it, madam. Tell me what you know about the murder that took place outside on election night.
Listen, chum, do you know how busy we were that night? This was a polling place. We had gents coming in and out for hours, not to mention the regular clientele. I was up to my ass in drink orders and was running the shift all by myself.
Someone should
Had
have
to
saw
break
something.
up God knows how many fights, too. So you'll excuse me if I didn't exactly notice something that happened out on the street.
Did you at least hear the gunshot?
No, I didn't. You try distinguishing a gunshot over a room full of rowdy voters. It ain't gonna happen.
What can you tell me about this place?
It's a bar. People come here to drink. Sometimes people drink too much, and then they're sick all over. I get the honor of cleaning up the mess.
Sounds like you're not too pleased with your job.
I never said that. There may be rough days, but there's a lot worse I could be doing. Here, I get a place to sleep and a bit to eat and a few coins in my pocket if the customers are pleased. And you are pleased, ain't you, sir?
Oh, yes. Yes, of course I am.
Good.
You mentioned regular clientele. Who are they?
Oh, we get plenty of regulars in here, too many to name.
Which of them were here on election night?
Let me think. I remember seeing 3 of the usual crowd. There was Darius, up to no good as always. Then there was Singin' Tom, but he wasn't around for too long. And how could I forget old Cormac? He'd have talked my ear off if I'd let him.
Sound like an interesting bunch of folks.
Where might I find the landlord?
You won't find him anywhere. He doesn't come around here more than once a month.
What can you tell me about Darius?
Hey now, bucko. You've come in here asking me all these questions, but I ain't seen nothing from you. You want more information? You're gonna have to earn it.
Right. Give me a gin, then.
Coming right up.
Oh
Get
shit.
carried away now, Miles.
There you are. 1 gin. That'll be 2 shillings.
Not
There's
gonna be
3.
good.
Now then, about Darius.
Now that man is trouble. I've had to throw him out a few times.
Why do you say he's trouble?
His mind's affected by the poppy seed. He can be gentle as a kitten or fly into a rage at a moment's notice. When he gets rowdy, he gets chopped.
I see. Any idea where I might be able to find him?
Don't know why you'd want to find him, but I hear he spends his day at a smokehouse nearby. I believe it's on Crisparkle Lane. Just look for the door with the oriental symbols above it.
And could you describe him to me?
He's a rough-looking sort, about 55 years old, has a scar on his left cheek, grayish hair, medium build.
Excellent. Thank you. Who is Singing Tom?
Ah, Tom. Not sure what his surname is, but he's in here about twice a week. We call him Singin' Tom because he leads a church choir.
Is that right? Which church?
Oh, I haven't a clue. Never really cared to ask.
Does he associate with any of the other regulars?
I've seen him talking with Darius a few times. They seem to be on friendly terms.
Tell me about Cormac.
He's in here most every night. Doesn't speak to many people, just me. And a right chatterbox he is, too. Between you and me, Cormac stinks. I can understand why he doesn't keep much company.
He stinks?
Aye, he's a sewer worker. Spends all his day underground in the muck, so he always reeks of shit.
I see.
Wow.
Any idea where specifically he works?
I believe he's at the treatment station, over near the ferry terminal.
If this is going where I think it is, then I'm especially glad I can't smell anything anymore.
Looks like we have a couple leads here.
Any thoughts on the election?
Nah, couldn't care less, really. Doesn't matter who's in charge. My life ain't getting any better.
But it can certainly get worse with Leroy in office.
We'll see.
Have you worked here long?
13 years.
I see. Anything else you can tell me about yourself?
I ain't the friendly type.
Right. Understood. I appreciate you taking the time to chat.
Yeah.
we got a couple leads. See what we can do with them. Although we should probably talk to her first.
All right, Mr. Chavez. The cake and muffins come to a total of 6 crowns, 10 shillings.
There you are, Mrs. Morgan. And thank you again. Barbara is going to love this.
My pleasure. Enjoy.
Pardon me, sir.
I'm sure Barbara will enjoy them, the cow.
Wow.
Mr. Fordham, welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Morgan.
Those look nice, but given the choice, I'll always side with pie over cake. A bunch of assorted baking products. Don't waste your time with those, Miles. We've got a murder to solve. I never had much of a sweet tooth, but even I'd consider buying some of this stuff. You know, if I were still alive. Minor detail, I know. A very wise man once told me, never go poking around the back rooms of bakeries. I think you'd do well to heed that advice.
Okay.
The stuff in that day-old box doesn't look half bad. More like 3/4 bad.
Have you got time for a few more questions, Mrs. Morgan?
Yes, of course.
What can you tell me about your brother?
Ronan was the best brother anyone could have asked for. He took care of me after our parents died. Carriage accident. I was only 9 and he was 13. Ronan went out and found work and managed to support the both of us. He was just a child himself, but he kept us out of the gutter. Or worse, the workhouse.
How did you hear of his death?
Ronan comes by to visit me every day after he finishes work. When he didn't come for 2 days in a row, I got worried. I went to his apartment, but he wasn't there. So I made a report to the police. Yesterday, they contacted me and asked me to come to the mortuary.
I'm terribly sorry for your loss, Mrs. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham. Please, find whoever did this to him. Ronan deserved so much better.
What do you know about your brother's murder?
Only what the police told me. He was shot at close range outside that pub in the Chum. Nothing was missing, and his wallet had money in it, so they said it wasn't a robbery. I didn't recognize the clothes he was wearing. I had never seen them before, and they were far too big for him. I still can't believe he's gone. He was the only family I had left.
So weird.
Dr. Edwards at the mortuary might be able to give us some more detailed information. The only thing we'll get out of this one is more tears.
How does someone get shot outside a place that's busy?
What sort of life did Ronan lead?
You know, just normal. He'd go to work, come visit me afterwards, and go home. He didn't have much of a social life. At least he never mentioned any friends to me. I always hoped Ronan would meet a nice girl to settle down with, but he was so shy, you know.
Where did Ronan work?
At the Grips Home Taxidermy Shop in Gascone. I always thought it was rather macabre work, but he enjoyed it. Bit lonely, though.
Can you give me the address of Ronins' apartment?
It's at 1172 Bushmill Street. I have a spare key.
That would be most helpful. Thank you.
Man, we're getting a bunch of leads now.
So, this is your bakery.
My husband Gerald and I have had it for almost 10 years.
Is it just the two of you? Do you have any children?
Alas, no. Some extra hands would be most welcome in the kitchen, but we haven't yet been blessed. It's such a shame that Ronan never got to be an uncle.
What are your thoughts on the outcome of the election?
Oh, I haven't given it much thought, to be honest. It hardly seems to matter now.
Yes, of course. My apologies for bringing it up. Those are all the questions I have for now.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
Okay, we can go examine the body. I think that's the best bet. Oh, plus
I
we
was
could talk
beginning
to
to
her
wonder
about
when
the
you'd
case.
show up.
Well, wonder no longer. I'm here and I need to see Dr. Edwards.
Oh, I see how it is. He helped you solve a case, and now you don't have time for us lowly front desk clerks.
That's just the way it goes, Upton. Maybe next time you should pick a nicer coffee house.
Right. You know the way. Snelling isn't in today, so you're all clear.
Well, that's a relief. Thanks, Upton. Can we talk for a moment, Upton?
Certainly. What's on your mind?
You wouldn't happen to know anything about Ronan Lisp, would you?
Probably nothing more than you already know. His body is in the mortuary, and the reason for his murder is unknown. I suggest you speak with Dr. Edwards.
How are things with you?
Better than last week, but plenty of feathers still ruffled around here.
What happened?
You have to ask. Snelling was not happy with you turning up at the Latham crime scene. It was a right inquisition around here. Snelling going around to interrogate everyone, trying to ferret out a leak.
So he suspects.
I'm afraid so. I managed to calm him down some and divert suspicion. He thinks someone on the force is speaking to the Gazette, not to you directly.
Well, that's some kind of relief. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Oh, don't worry about me. Well, maybe worry about me a little.
That was one hell of an election, wasn't it?
That it was. I don't know how he managed it, but I'm glad Leroy won.
I can't say I agree, but I'm not really surprised. Leroy may have started as something of a dark horse, but his campaign had been gaining a lot of steam leading up to the election. Pun not intended.
Yes, well, it's the Steam Tech issue that clinched it. When something like the Ligeia happens, people start to wake up and wonder if we really want contraptions like that in our lives.
You have to admit, he was playing up on people's fears. Not exactly the most honorable way of getting into office.
Fordham, since when have politics ever been honorable?
I'm guessing you can't go over this case with me either.
I have to distance myself completely from this one. So when you figure it out, you'll need to speak directly to Mrs. Morgan. I can still try and help you if there's something specific giving you trouble, though.
I'll let you get back to work.
And you'd better do the same.
Wonder what that means. What am I gonna need help with this one?
I hope I'm not interrupting anything, Edwards.
Ah, Fordham. Always a pleasure.
Have you got time for some questions?
Of course.
So what can you tell me about Ronan Lisp?
Caucasian male, approximately 27 years old. Died of blood loss as a result of being shot at close range. He was brought in 4 nights ago. I performed the post-mortem the following day. After that, his next of kin was contacted. I believe his sister came to identify the body.
Any personal opinions on what might have happened?
Well, the fact he was shot at such a close range would suggest it was done by someone he knew. And robbery doesn't appear to be a motive, since his wallet was found on the body with money in it. Beyond that, your guess is as good as mine.
Better, I hope.
Did the post-mortem reveal anything?
Quite a few things, actually. Mr. Lisp was extremely inebriated when the shooting took place. There was
Makes
enough
sense.
alcohol in his blood to presume he had been drinking for hours before his death. I also managed to remove the bullet from his heart. It's a .36 caliber lead ball, standard revolver shot. It shouldn't be too hard to match to a weapon, provided you can find it.
Did you notice anything unusual about the clothes Mr. Lisp was wearing?
Unusual? Not really. They seemed a bit big for him, but that's all.
His sister seemed convinced that they didn't belong to him.
That's a distinct possibility, but I couldn't say for sure. He could have just been a sloppy dresser.
So no murder weapons been found?
That's right. Either the killer still has it, or the police just overlooked it. If you happen across any weapons in your investigation, be sure to bring them to me. I can tell you if it matches the bullet.
Thank you, Edwards. I'll be on the lookout. How's the coroner business?
Things have been pretty dead around here lately.
Wow.
Don't quit your day job, Edwards.
Joke.
What are your thoughts on the election?
There was an election?
I think our friend Edwards needs to get out a bit more.
I'll be going now, Edwards.
Take care, Fordham. And remember, not everyone gets to leave the morgue alive, so consider yourself lucky that you can.
You forgetting you just go up to the top and hit map to exit? A little quicker. Guess we can go to his apartment. Be some
Quite
clues.
a collection of exotic items in here. Ronan appears to be a seasoned world traveler.
Or at least knows someone who is.
Check his desk.
Locked, naturally.
Of course. See, that's partially why I think I
Just
screwed up
looking
the
at this
first
painting
case.
is making me feel seasick. This
Never got to
mask looks
open that.
African. You should try it on. It'd be an improvement. This one is scarier than the other masks. Wait a moment. I think I saw something shiny in the back of the mouth.
Huh?
How about that? A perfect hiding place for a key.
Oh, nice.
Some kind of owl mask. The hair looks incredibly familiar.
Key to
Now
this?
to find out what Mr. Lisp finds so precious. They appear to be a pair of letters from Ronan's landlord.
Landlord's one of the regulars. So he's behind on his rent.
Ooh, this teacup could use a washing. I'd be surprised if it isn't permanently stuck to the desk. It's empty. Too bad.
Wait. Why is there a ring over there if the cup's over there?
Looks like you found Ronan's journal. Perhaps this will be able to give us some more insight into what he was up to before he died.
Let's see. March 11th, 1844. I must have eaten something last night which didn't agree with me because I've had
Ow.
a terrible case of the runs.
TMI.
Probably best to skip this one.
Agreed.
Oh, my guess is you need like a specific
March
date.
11th, 1844.
Yeah,
Probably.
Agreed.
to find a date that I
A
need.
model of the SS Joondalup. Looks like a merchant vessel to me.
Although you'd think you just read through the whole thing. Find something eventually.
Aha. A letter from someone called Jimbo?
Huh.
This one appears to be from Emily.
Being a bunch of people that we don't know. So there's still no date for this, or?
There are two entries, one from this year and one from last.
So, start with last year's.
July 8th, 1843. I've decided I need to get out more, so I'm going to a club in Gascon tonight. Stuffing animals has taken its toll, and I need to talk to someone who isn't Emily or my coworkers. Gerald told me about a place called the Crimson Cat. I'll try it, and if I don't enjoy myself, I'll just come home. Now for this year's entry. July 8th, 1844. Today is our 1-year anniversary. We're going to meet at the Cat again.
So I'm
I
guessing
love
that's the
him, but
Jimbo
I wish
person?
he wasn't so attached to that place. Emily is so nosy, I worry that she might follow me and discover the truth about Jimbo. If we moved around, I wouldn't worry, but with him, it's always the Crimson Cat. I really shouldn't complain, though. What we have is something truly special.
Well,
we're
it seems
starting
that
to
our
get
best
a-
hope of finding this Jimbo character is to visit the Crimson Cat.
Starting to get a rough idea what's happening there.
Ronan's book collection mostly consists of cheap pulp adventure novels, but this top shelf looks interesting.
Opium, isn't there an opium den that part of this place?
It's in another language, but it appears to be a Bible. It's in another no title, and it appears to be blank. I wonder if Ronan just kept empty books on his shelf to appear well read. No
Hey,
title.
look at it. Guessing I need more information for
I
that.
had an illustration that looked similar to that one. I wonder where it ended up. Ronan wasn't too concerned with comfort, apparently. This is hardly bigger than a bunk at sea. Ronan wasn't.
Whoops, had to go look at that chest.
I guess Ronan won't be realizing his world travel dreams now. Death really has a way of messing up your plans.
Okay, we have some rough suspects. I think we have too many though, like, jeez. Bakery was where he... Oh no, that's... Never mind. Taxidermy, which is where he worked?
Hello, and welcome to the Gripsholm Taxidermy Shop. Please let me know if I can be of service.
Is that supposed to be a lion? I wonder how many people it took to bring down this brute. There's a small button on the base.
Gotta push the button.
Just when I thought I'd seen it all. What will they think of next? Reminds me of the one in the Dupre house, except that one actually looked alive. There's a small button on the base.
Another button.
Welcome to the Gripzone Taxidermy Shop. Please enjoy our displays and be sure to consider us for all your taxidermy needs. Just a reminder, we stuff animals only.
Exotic dead fauna from every other continent. You never even need to leave Vespuccia. I thought owls were supposed to be wise. How'd this one let itself end up on display in a place like this? That leads into a room with even more dead things. It's such a shame we haven't the time to stick around and explore.
I was wondering if you might answer some questions for me.
Of course. What can I help you with?
I was told Ronan Lisp works here. Do you know him?
Ronan? Yes, of course. That is to say, I know he works here. I haven't had much interaction with him. He mostly keeps to himself.
Does he have an office or workspace I might have a look at?
Now, wait just a minute. Why would I let some random stranger off the street in to look at an employee's workspace?
Because I'm a private investigator and I'm trying to get some information.
Well, even if that is the case, I'm afraid you're out of luck. Ronan does have a workspace, but it's completely bare. He doesn't keep anything here.
That is really pale.
Were you aware that Ronan was murdered 4 nights ago?
I had no idea. That's awful. What happened?
That's what I'm currently trying to find out. Do you know if Ronan had any enemies? Anyone who might want to do him harm?
No. As I said, I didn't speak with him much, or know much about him. But now that I think about it, I did notice a strange man waiting around outside the shop a few days ago.
Tell me about this strange man you saw.
At the time, I didn't think much of him. But the more I recall, the more I realize he was being very suspicious.
What did he do?
He just stood outside across the street, but he seemed to be focusing on the building. It was as though he was waiting for someone.
Do you remember what this man looked like?
I didn't get a very good look at him, but I do remember some things. He was tall and had a heavy build, like a boxer or a dock worker. He had a beard, I think, or mutton chops at the very least. And as far as I can recall, he was wearing all black. He also had on some kind of cap. I'm sorry I can't give you a better description, but that's all I was able to distinguish. My eyesight isn't very good, I'm afraid.
It'll have to do. Thank you for your help. Anything you can tell me about the shop?
Plenty! This is New Britannia's most sophisticated taxidermy shop. Unlike other taxidermists, we work with modern technology to get results they could only dream of.
What even
What does that mean exactly?
Using steam tech, we are able to create the illusion of life in these beasts. Just take a look at our floor samples. The parrot and gorilla are 2 of our finest works. They really speak for themselves. Well, the parrot does at least. I think it would frighten our customers if the gorilla did too. And once ethericity is harnessed as a viable source of energy, we'll get even better results.
This guy is way too excited about bringing dead things back to life.
Yes, fascinating. Moving on. So how did you get this job?
Oh, it isn't a terribly exciting story, I'm afraid. I just saw an ad in the Gazette for a clerk position. I never expected to learn so much about taxidermy.
I'm sure he's amazing conversation at parties.
Any thoughts on the recent election?
I'd really rather not talk about it. I don't know how the people of this country could put someone like Hart Leroy in charge.
I know what you mean. Leroy may be a champion of the common man, but Atwood's vision for the future is more important right now.
I couldn't agree more. Leroy wants to forsake all the technological advances of the last decade and take us back to the Dark Ages. Next thing you know, he'll be bringing slavery back.
Wow.
I doubt he'd go to such extremes.
Perhaps we should drop the subject. I get a bit passionate when it comes to these sorts of things.
Thank you for your help.
I'm here to serve.
So we have a description of someone who's suspicious. Although it doesn't really guarantee that's the killer that met outside. Got these 3 places.
Ah, the Crimson Cat. One of my favorite underground clubs. Ooh, I spent some wild nights here. Which reminds me,
wonder if Stefan is still working the bar these days. Seagrave's Stasholine, high-quality mustache wax. You know, I always wondered what you'd look like with a mustache. Attention customers. Use of Dr. Tennyson's finger pills while under the influence of alcohol may cause loss of consciousness. It's nice to see this establishment looking out for its patrons. Good old Bollingworth Ale. Unlike so many other things in life, it never lets you down. Well, not while you're drinking it anyway. The next morning is another story entirely. Fine beer always served here. Good to know. Looks like they've got Bollingworth, Mill Hopper, and Brooklyn Lager. Not a bad set of beers. Quite the selection. It rivals even the Angel. This place has been around for quite some time. That well-dressed feline is Red, the official mascot. Looks like a view of Claremont Street with St. Denis Cathedral in the background. Call me old-fashioned, but I've always felt the piano should be played by an actual human. These automated ones just don't have any soul.
Beg your pardon. Your name wouldn't happen to be Jimbo, would it?
Yeah? Who's asking?
Miles Fordham, private investigator.
Can a guy enjoy his shore leave without being harassed by the law? I've done nothing wrong.
I didn't say you had, and I'm most certainly not the law. I just want to ask you a few questions.
All right, fine.
Mutton chops, hat. He's probably the one who met him, but I don't know if this guy's a killer.
You know Ronan Lisp?
I knew him, yeah.
Knew him?
He and I haven't spoken recently. In about a month, actually. Things didn't go so well last time.
How do you mean?
Let's just say we didn't part on the best of terms. He made it very clear that he didn't want to speak to me again.
Huh.
Were you aware that Ronan was murdered?
What? No, when? What happened?
He was shot outside a tavern in Chumley 4 nights ago.
Chumley? What was he doing there?
I was hoping perhaps you could tell me.
I honestly don't know. Ronan hardly went out, and he especially never crossed the river.
Why was that?
I think he was just too scared of the world to go out and see it for himself. He was happy enough reading about it in his books or collecting things I brought him back from my travels. Honestly, that's what I liked most about him. He was just an average, boring man. It was just the sort of balance I needed in my life.
That's pretty much the exact same reason I always enjoyed working with you, Miles.
You and Ronan had a special relationship, didn't you?
Mr. Fordham, we're in an underground club. You don't have to tap dance around it. Yes, Ronan and I were a couple. At least up until last month.
What happened, if you don't mind me asking?
We had a misunderstanding. Ronan thought I had been seeing someone else. He was extremely jealous. I tried to explain that he had it all wrong, but he wouldn't hear me out. I was going to give him some time to cool off, but, well, that's not going to happen now, is it?
If it's any consolation, I found a letter you wrote him, which he still kept in his desk.
Damn. Thank you for telling me that.
Where does the name Jimbo come from?
It's just a nickname. My real name is James Bowcroft.
And what is it you do?
I'm a sailor. I thought you detective types were supposed to be extra observant. Shouldn't you be able to tell me what my occupation was just by looking at my fingernails or something?
Sorry to disappoint. Perceptiveness is important in my line of work, but I'm also just a man.
I think perhaps Jimbo has been reading too many of those detective stories in Brentwood.
Do you have any opinions about the recent election?
Not really. I'm usually way at sea, so I don't keep up with politics. The sea's got her own laws. Anyway, I can't vote, so it's really none of my concern.
But you're still affected by the decisions the Prime Minister makes.
Not very fair, is it, Mr. Fordham?
No, I suppose it isn't. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
That didn't help us very much. I was just thinking you would have more for us. Okay, so we got these 2 places still.
So this is what it's come to, eh? Braving the stench of human waste in hopes of finding a lead? Just make sure you stay away from the edge. Handy to know where you are. But why would anyone actually travel around the city this way?
Begging your pardon, sir.
What? Who are you? What are you doing down here?
My name's Miles Fordham, and I'm a private investigator. I'm looking for a sewer worker by the name of Cormac.
We needn't look no further. But what is this about?
I just have a few questions for you.
All right. Cormac will answer them, but don't dally for too long. It can be dangerous down here for anyone who's not trained as Cormac is.
Okay.
You know a man named Ronan Lisp?
Cormac knows few men. People don't much like talking to a man who spends his days in the sewers. Can't really blame him for it. It's hard to get a stink off, so why bother even trying?
You didn't answer my question, though. Do you know Ronan Lisp or not?
Could you describe him? Cormac's got a better memory for faces than for names.
I have his portrait. Here, have a look.
Ah, yes. Cormac saw this fellow recently.
On election night?
Why is he
That's
talking in
right.
third person?
He come into the bar, voted, went out. Looked drunk to Cormac, but then everyone at that place usually is.
Do you frequent a pub called the Silent Raven?
Yes. The Raven is where Cormac goes to forget about the day's work. The barmaid, Nicole, she's a good sort. We likes talking about the ponies down at the track. Nicky loves her some racing. She gives Cormac drinks for cheap in exchange for odd jobs. Nice to have your own personal sewer man, I suppose. She's really the only one Cormac talks to. There's a few others Cormac sees often, but Cormac hasn't spoken with them.
Cripes. This guy goes on and on, doesn't he? To be fair, you were warned.
Do you know anything about the murder that took place outside the Silent Raven on election night?
Murder? Ah, yes. The commotion out in the alleyway.
That's right. Did you see or hear anything?
It was a touch noisy that night, what with all the election stuff happening, but Cormac remembers the sound of the gun. One shot, and then shouting and hollering from the bar. A few people run outside to look at what happened, but Cormac just stayed in his seat and finished his whiskey.
Wow.
So you didn't see the man who was shot, or who shot him?
No, keeps to himself, Cormac does. Makes life easier that way.
Could he be any more unhelpful? Actually, it's probably best not to find him.
Is it difficult being a sewer worker?
Difficult? Nah, it's a dream. Especially since they introduced all these steam tech treatments and purification whatsits. The only thing Cormac's got to do is check the little dial never goes into the red on old Belinda.
Belinda?
Aye, the purifier. She's a real special lady who's made Cormac's life so much brighter. Cormac makes sure to thank her each and every day.
Wonderful. We're talking to a lunatic.
Wasn't so easy a few years ago. Back then it was tapping on pipes all day.
Tapping on pipes?
To make sure they was flowing fine and not blocked. Cormac would take his little hammer and tap, tap, tap on the pipes to make sure they was ringing fine. You can imagine what that was like. Tap, tap, tap. Ring, ring, ring. All day, up and down, over and over. The tapping stopped, but the ringing never left. Still hears it to this day, Cormac does.
Do you have any opinions regarding the election?
Cormac hears lots of things about Atwood, but he's the one what's got this new machinery put into the sewer system. There's still a job for Cormac, so all that talk about being replaced by machines is just talk, for now. But Leroy says he wants to give the workers their fair chance, so Cormac can't argue with that. What about you?
I would have preferred Atwood stay in office myself.
Bah, they's all the same in the end. One way or another. No point worrying, says old Cormac.
I wonder if you could tell me if you saw a man of this description at the Silent Raven on election night. He's tall, strong build, with a beard or mutton chops, dressing all in black and possibly wearing a cap.
Oh,
We already know that's Jimbo.
Cormac remembers seeing a fella like that.
What was he doing?
Kept going in and out of the bar. When he was inside, he stood near the voting booths, hardly moving a muscle.
And when he was outside?
That, Cormac couldn't say.
Did you notice anything else about him?
Yes, Cormac noticed him come in and speak with Nicole, the barmaid, after the commotion outside.
Is that right?
So he was there after this.
I'll let you return to your work.
I think the actual
Be
killer would
mindful on
leave,
your way out.
right?
You know, if you stare at this thing long enough, it kinda does look like it's got a face. Oh, God. The crazy is starting to rub off on me. Quick, Miles. Let's get out of here. Another mysterious device. I was happier not knowing all this went on after I used the commode. While you could use a bath, I don't think this is the right place to take a dip. I hope those aren't full of what I think. Another mysterious machine. Who knew dealing with human waste involved so much technology?
I'm worried about
I
coming in
wonder
this
how many
place.
layers of advertisements you'd have to cut through before getting to the wall. Crisparkle Lane. Nothing crisp or sparkly about it. I can't make heads or tails of it, but I'll bet you 10 crowns it doesn't say welcome.
Yes? What do you want?
I guess we should pretend that we're...
I was told this was the place to come if I wanted to ride the dragon.
Oh. Well, why didn't you say so? Please, come in.
Poor horse. That fellow in the armor must have weighed a ton. They're really dedicated to their theme in here, aren't they? She's not gonna be much help right now. That's not to bother her. Fancy. At least they provide their clients with some measure of privacy. Now I see why they call it riding the dragon. Now I see...
Excuse me, I'm looking for a man by the name of Darius.
Well, look no further. Welcome, friend. Sit, join me.
I'll stand, if that's all right. I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions.
Questions are the path to enlightenment. Answers fly by as birds on the breeze.
Oh no.
But will a caged bird sing? That is the true question.
Wonderful. He's as high as a kite. This is gonna be worse than pulling teeth.
Are you familiar with a man named Ronan Lisp?
I know many men. Some old, some young, some rich, some poor. Some I know by name, some by face. But this man you speak of, this Ronan, he is unfamiliar to me.
I have a ferrotype. Do you recognize him?
Forgive me, but my eyes are blurry. I can't make out his features.
Well, he's useless, isn't he? Too bad there's no way to snap him out of it, like there was with Dupre's kid.
Do you know anything about the murder outside the Silent Raven on election night?
Murder? Was it a murder?
It was. A man was shot in cold blood.
That would explain the commotion, as well as the sound.
So you heard the gunshot?
I did. I thought it might have been one of the voting machines making the noise. But then there were shouts, and people began to run.
Did you see or hear anything before you heard the gunshot?
I seem to remember hearing a man shouting a name.
A name?
Yes. It sounded like Priscilla.
Huh.
Well, how about that? He's managed to be of some use after all. Assuming he's telling the truth, of course.
And does the name Priscilla mean anything to you?
Afraid not, young man.
What can you tell me about the Silent Raven?
Ah, the Raven. My home away from home.
I would have thought that was this place. Unless this one is just the home.
Do you have many friends there? People you speak
Hey,
with
Sly,
often?
how's it going?
Yes, friends. I call them friends anyway, but really, what is a friend? Someone who drinks with you? Someone who shares secrets with you? Are those friends? My father used to tell me that the only two friends you had were your mother and the crown in your pocket.
I think this guy's not going to be very
both
helpful.
of those are gone now. So what does that mean for me?
I don't know, sir. I'm just asking about people you speak to at the Raven.
The barmaid, Nicole, she gets mad at me sometimes when I break things. But she's all right.
Have you ever conversed with a patron called Singing Tom?
Singing Tom? You mean old Tom Puffin?
I'm not sure. I was just told he was called Singing Tom and was a regular at the Silent Raven.
That's the man. I see him in here all the time.
In here? Not just at the Raven?
Tom is a child of the poppy, just as I am. He truly understands the world as it is.
Do you know where I might be able to find him?
Yes, he's the choir master at St. Denis Cathedral. That's where he spends his time when he's not here.
You mean to tell me we have to talk to another one of these loonies? Wonderful.
Do you often come to this
there's a lot of
establishment,
people in
Darius?
this case.
Oh, yes. This place is better than any doctor or hospital. It has exactly the cure I need.
Cure? For what?
I'm ill, sir. Just as you are. Just as we all are. Infected by a terrible disease known as life.
Speak for yourself.
But spend a few hours in here with the intoxicating nectar of the poppy, and you'll find nothing can defeat you.
So did you manage to get out of here and vote?
Please don't bother me with such trivial matters. Why should I care who leads the government? As long as they don't outlaw places like this, they can do whatever they please.
Is this guy ignorant or just apathetic? Yeah, well, I don't know, and I don't care.
I was wondering if you could tell me whether you saw a certain man at the Raven on election night. He's tall, of strong build, with a beard or mutton chops, dressing all in black and possibly wearing a cap.
Lots of people like that go to the Raven. I see loads of them every night. But now that you mention it, I do remember someone like that. He was a strange one.
How so?
I remember one of the times he came in, he was adjusting his hat. I could have sworn when he took it off for just a moment, his hair was bright red.
How is that strange, exactly?
Because his beard was jet black. It was the oddest thing I'd seen. Well, it was the oddest thing I'd seen, until his beard slid halfway down his face.
Fake
I
beard.
see. Well, thank you for the information.
Wonderful.
Looking for a
This
redheaded
testimony is about as useful as a hole in the head. Then again, there might be something to it.
Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye, young man. May you find peace and happiness.
Well, we're getting somewhere, kind of. Okay, we have the cathedral now. Should probably save it. Haven't saved it in a while.
This angel looks like it would throw its lamp at you as soon as you turned your back on it. Heh, prayer candles? People think lighting one of these is going to solve their problems. If only it were that easy. Also, what happens if they go out? Does that mean your prayer gets canceled? Shh! What? It's an important question. The more I think about it, the more I want to test my theory about prayers being canceled if the candles go out.
Wait, what? What would be the point of blowing them out?
Well, that's all of them. Hope you made a wish.
What is the point of that?
This looks like the nicer of the two angels. Now this is one intriguing chest. If only we could search it without arousing any suspicions. What a racket. I'm glad you're not a member of this church. Sitting through Sunday Mass would drive me insane.
I beg your pardon. Are you Tom Puffin?
I am. How may I help you?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. I wanted to ask you a few questions.
Questions? Have I done something wrong?
No, Mr. Puffin. I simply believe you may have some information that I need.
Very well, then.
What were you doing on election night, Mr. Puffin?
Election night? That was ages ago, wasn't it?
It was 4 nights ago, to be precise.
Oh, you have to understand. I have trouble recalling what I ate for breakfast this morning, let alone
God.
what happened
Another one of
4
these
nights
guys?
ago.
Well, isn't that convenient?
Do try to remember, Mr. Puffin. It's quite important.
Well, I know I voted at my local polling place, the Silent Raven. And then... I'm not sure, actually.
Probably not going to be able to help us then.
Do you know anything about the murder outside the Silent Raven?
Murder?
Yes, a man was shot. Did you see or hear anything?
I don't remember. I don't think so, no.
How long were you at the Raven that evening?
Not very long, I don't think. I went, voted, stayed for a drink, and then I left.
You recall what you did the rest of the evening?
Not specifically. I probably went home and went to bed, like I always do.
Do you recognize the man in this photo?
Is that? No, never mind.
What is it?
Well, for a moment, I thought it was someone else, but I was clearly mistaken.
So you don't recognize this person then?
Afraid not. Who is he?
His name is, or rather was, Ronan Lisp.
What? Is he dead?
He is. I'm trying to find out who killed him.
Well, I hope you find your man, Mr. Fordham.
Are you in the habit of using opium, Mr. Puffin?
What? Why would you think that?
I met your friend Darius. He told me you share a pastime.
All right, yes, I do enjoy a visit to the opium den from time to time.
From time to time? More like morning, noon, and night.
Have you found the drug has had any adverse effects? Memory loss, for example.
I admit I'm not quite as quick as I used to be, but without it, I'm in constant pain.
Is that right?
I fell off a horse when I was 15, and ever since then, my back's not been right. The doctors haven't been able to help. The poppy is my only comfort. I wish there were another way.
It might be worth seeking a more professional opinion about the effects of opium.
Does the name Priscilla mean anything to you?
Priscilla? What does that have to do with anything?
The name has come up in my investigation. Is it someone you're acquainted with?
No, it isn't. I don't know
I guess I
anyone
can
by
ask
that
everyone
name.
about that now.
He certainly seemed concerned about her, though.
How did you become choir master of this church?
Oh, well, I studied music at the University of New Britannia. Once I completed my studies, I began writing symphonies in hopes of securing a patron, but I had no luck. So I decided to focus on choral compositions. I sent a few pieces to the bishop, and he offered me the position.
And you enjoy it?
Oh, yes, sir, immensely. I'm able to continue composing songs for our choir, as well as teach music to our young members. I take my church duties very seriously.
What else do you do besides lead the choir?
Just a few things here and there, making sure the aisles and the pews are clean, tending to the prayer candles, and that sort of thing.
Oh no, I guess this is just
So,
to distract
what do you
him
think
so I
of the
can
election
open that
results?
chest.
All right, the election. Who won?
Leroy. He beat Atwood by a significant margin.
Oh, I suppose that's good. I think I may have voted for him, but I'm not sure.
It seems that all the prayer candles have gone out.
Have they? Blast, I keep saying there's a draft, but nobody's done anything about it. Excuse me for a moment, won't you?
Yeah, here we go. The old Monkey Island trick.
Let's hope this chest hasn't got squeaky hinges.
Huh. So he does know that Priscilla woman? Said P. Ask him about it?
Do I
That's
have
probably
another
gonna...
moment of your time, Mr. Puffin?
Yes, I suppose so.
Do you know anyone named Ned?
Ned? What? Yes, I do.
Oh.
My nephew, Ned Bunkridge.
So that wasn't
Your
to
nephew?
him.
Yes? Why do you ask?
Where might I find Ned? I'd like to speak with him.
Is everything all right? Ned hasn't gotten into any trouble, has he? I always tell him just because he's training his body, that's no excuse to pick fights.
No, he hasn't gotten into any trouble.
Oh, well, he lives in Lyon, at 511 Parkside Terrace.
Right. Thank you for the information. I'll let you resume your practicing, Mr. Puffin.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Man, there's so many characters in this case, it's crazy. Still haven't met some of them.
Right this way, sir. Mr. Bunkridge is in his gymnasium.
Thank you, my good man.
Well, you take a look at this place, and take a look at him. Maybe you should consider doing some training yourself, Miles. You aren't getting any younger after all. What in the ether is that supposed to be? Looks like some kind of medieval torture device. Then again, so does most of this newfangled exercise equipment. They don't look that heavy to me. This seems to be where Ned keeps his extra equipment, and assorted other garbage. Oh, look, maybe you can slip these on and go a couple of rounds with Ned. If that's his best right hook, he'll be a pushover. And after that expert knockout you delivered Officer Grant, he won't stand a chance. Some kind of martial art? Doesn't look like any I've ever heard of. Makes you wonder if old Nettie boy is at the end of his rope, too. Just when I thought I'd seen it all. What will they think of next?
Excuse me, Mr. Bunkridge?
Oh, hello. Who are you?
I'm Miles Fordham, a private investigator. Your valet let me in.
Right, of course. What can I do for you?
I have a few questions for you, if you'd be so kind.
Yes, all right. I could use a bit of a rest anyway.
Are you familiar with a man named Ronan Lisp?
Never heard of him.
I have his portrait. Maybe you recognize him?
No, I've never seen this man before, but... Huh, how about that?
How about what?
The detail in this ferrotype is a bit fuzzy, but his facial features and hair, they vaguely resemble mine.
You know, now that he mentions it, it's true. Lisp does bear a passing resemblance to this fellow. Not quite as handsome, though.
So, you know nothing about the murder outside the Silent Raven 4 nights ago?
That's right. I don't even know what the Silent Raven is.
It's a bar in the Chum.
Well, that explains it. For one thing, I don't go to that part of town. A man like me sets foot in that den of ruffians, and I'll have every Tom, Dick, and Harry challenging me to a fight. Not that I couldn't take them, but I have better ways to train my body than beating thugs. Anyway, I don't drink. Dulls the mind and softens the body.
I see. Well, just thought I'd ask.
I'm sorry I can't help you, Mr. Fordham, but I hope you solve whatever it is you're investigating. You seem like a nice enough sort.
Tell me about your uncle.
You know Tom?
I've met him, yes. He's the one who told me where you lived.
Oh, right. Well, my uncle is, an interesting man.
Is that an interesting of the good or bad variety?
I really wish he would take better care of himself is all. I have the feeling that he's on some sort of drug, although he always denies it.
What gives you that impression?
Well, most of the time he acts completely normal. He goes to work, visits with me. Sometimes we go out together to the theater or a gallery. But some days his mood changes. He goes very solitary, won't leave his house, gets short with me. One time I went to visit him. I heard him yelling along with what sounded like furniture being knocked about. It only happened once, but it worried me. I hope Tom isn't in any sort of trouble.
Opium is one hell of a drug. It's a good thing you never got to that point with the soporific, or Adelaide would have thrown you out much sooner.
Are you all right, Mr. Fordham?
Yes, I'm fine.
What, too soon?
Could you give me Tom's address?
You don't have it? I thought you said you'd spoken with him.
I visited him at the Cathedral.
But if he's there, why do you want his address?
I just wanted to look at his things. I don't know if he's gonna accept that or not, but...
I have reason to believe he may be somehow involved in a murder.
That's a serious accusation, Mr. Fordham. What proof do you have?
Nothing concrete just yet, which is why I'd like to investigate his home.
Well, you're not the police, so I'm not obligated to tell you. I'm sorry, but you'll need more than just a suspicion to convince me.
On second thought, never mind. Does the name Priscilla mean anything to you?
Yes, it most certainly does. My lady love is named Priscilla Poundstone.
I see. What can you tell me about her?
Oh, she's a darling. I love her very much. Such a kind and gentle soul she is, too. loves animals, especially dogs. We've been together for ages and are due to be married soon.
When was the last time you saw her?
Saw her? Oh, no, Mr. Fordham. She doesn't live in New Britannia. She attends Miss Threadneedle's Academy for Young Ladies in Cormorant.
She lives in New Holland?
That's right. I've never actually met Priscilla face to face.
Wait, what?
We communicate exclusively through correspondence.
They're gonna get
How
married?
did you two get involved?
Her father and mine were old military friends. They decided between them that their children would be engaged.
A little
And
weird.
you're both in agreement?
Yes. I admit at first I was a bit hesitant, but we share many of the same interests. The distance between us is not a detriment to our love.
I wonder how that will change once they actually begin cohabiting.
So you correspond regularly with Priscilla?
That's right. At least one letter a week. My uncle does me the kindness of acting as courier.
Do you think I might have a look at one of those letters?
What for? They're private correspondence.
I understand, but I feel this is important. Perhaps you could show me one that isn't too personal.
Yes, I suppose that would be all right. In fact, I think there's a recent one on the shelf there. That's not too private. But you won't need to take it, will you?
Not at all. I just want to have a look. You're very into physical conditioning, aren't you?
Oh, you noticed. Yes, I believe that a healthy body is just as important as a healthy mind, if not more so.
Well, he's definitely prioritizing the former.
It's important to keep fit, especially at a job like mine where I'm in a chair most of the day.
What job is that?
I'm a clerk at the Bank of Vespuccia. But
no.
someday, I hope to leave and teach others about the health benefits of regular exercise. Perhaps even open up my own
That's
gymnasium.
not the bank that we got thrown out of earlier,
He
was it?
actually thinks people are going to go for that. Good luck to him.
How do you feel about the election outcome?
I'm disappointed. Atwood may not have been the greatest PM, but he was pro-steam tech. Sure, the Ligeia incident was a tragedy, but people are too quick to judge. Steam technology is a boon to mankind. It's already enriched my life considerably. It's a shame that progress is going to be held back because of one isolated occurrence.
I agree. Technological advancement doesn't come cheap, but it shouldn't be abandoned entirely. Thanks for your time.
Not a problem.
Wait just a minute. Something's off here. The handwriting in this letter is different to the one we found before. There's something strange going on with this Priscilla.
It is a little strange. I'll have to go back to Dr. Edwards. I guess talking to him, it means you have to finish that one thing there. While we're here, might as well talk to her, see if she has anything.
Can we talk for a moment, Upton?
Certainly. What's on your mind?
Upton, I need you to put out a bulletin. There's someone I need found.
Oh, who's that?
I don't know his name. I only have a description.
All right, I'll need to ask you a few questions.
Oh no.
Could you describe the man's height and build?
Oh shit. It was tall, right?
He's tall, with a large build.
All right. What color is his hair?
I'm certain it's red.
All right. Do you know of any unique details that might make him easier to identify?
I was told he was dressed all in black.
I see. Well, I'll put out the bulletin, but that's a bit of a generic description. All right. The bulletin is out. I'll let you know if I hear anything.
Thanks,
worried
Upton.
about that.
I appreciate the help.
I should have said he had a black beard to go with the disguise that he had.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes?
Edwards, do you know much about the effects of opium?
quite a great deal, unfortunately. It's all the rage these days. Most people use it to calm the nerves or relieve pain, but it's highly addictive and has numerous adverse effects.
Such as?
It depends, really. Most common are sweating, nausea, memory loss, or blurred vision. But more serious cases can lead to hallucination, violent mood swings, coma, or even death. I just had a case in here a few weeks ago who died from an opium overdose. It wasn't pretty.
Doesn't sound like it. Thanks for the information, Edwards.
Anytime.
I wonder about
I'll be going now, Edwards.
Take care, Fordham.
Should I go back to Ned with that?
Can we talk for a moment, Upton?
Certainly. What's on your mind?
Can I try giving you that description again? I may have more details now.
Oh, shit.
Sure. More details will definitely help. Could you describe the man's height and build?
He's tall, with a large build.
All right.
I believe it's black.
All right.
He has a beard, or mutton chops.
I see. Well, I'll put out the bulletin, but that's a bit of a generic description.
I'm guessing she'll say something differently when
All
I
right.
have it.
The bulletin is out. I'll let you know if I hear anything.
Thanks, Upton.
Hold on. Try something.
Can we talk?
Certainly.
Can I?
Sure. Could.
He's tall.
All right.
I'm so.
All right.
He has a beard, or mutton chops.
I see. Well, I'll...
All
right. The bulletin is out.
Thanks, Upton. Can we talk?
Certainly.
So yeah, I guess it's not gonna...
I'll let you...
Need more information, I guess. Okay. Guess I can tell him I want to see if he's on opium.
Could I ask you a few more questions, Mr. Bunkeridge?
All right, but try not to take too long. Don't want to drop my heart rate too much.
About your uncle?
What about...
Oh, because of the note. Oh yeah, I
think
see.
there's something going on between him and Priscilla.
Something going on? What do you mean?
I found a letter addressed to you from her at the Cathedral, and the handwriting is different to the letter you have here.
He has one of her letters? Why would he?
I'm not sure, which is why I'd like to search his home and find out more.
If he's going behind my back, I swear I'll...
Calm yourself, Mr. Bunkeridge. If I find anything, you'll be the first to know.
All right. Tom lives at 117 Gimlet Terrace in Worcester.
Hey, practically neighbors.
Here, I've got a spare key. If you find anything about him and Priscilla, you'll tell me, won't you?
Of course. Thank you, Mr. Bunkeridge. Thanks for your time.
Not a problem.
Nice place. Tidy. Nothing incriminating that I can see.
People rarely leave anything incriminating out in the open. It's time to have a look around.
Music books. Clearly Puffin has never touched them. A statue of Eros, I believe? God of love or lust or something. Man babies in diapers never did much for me. That's odd. There are some scratches on the floor next to that statue.
Been moved?
How about that?
There you
Looks
go.
like we found Singing Tom's buried treasure.
Let's just see what we have here.
So he's pretending to be Ned?
Interesting stuff. But what about the box itself?
Revolver.
It seems Puffin's gun has gone missing. He should really take better care of his things.
Yeah, he's getting to be suspicious.
So Puffin plays at home too? His poor neighbors. Puffin's music room is a bit lacking in comparison to the one in the painting. Huh. I was wondering when he was going to show up. Puffin's daily planner. The man leads an even more boring life than you. Who knew that was even possible? No point wasting time searching Puffin's bedroom. I have a feeling that if there's something to find, it's here in the sitting room.
But how do you know? I guess that's pretty much everything, right?
Nothing else in there. Too bad.
So did that give us a location? No? Can I confront him about it?
He won't be much more help right now. Leave him to his practice. He really needs it.
Tell Ned?
He hasn't got anything else to tell us right.
Huh. Investigate the murder site again? Guess it's been a while since we've been there.
To think in an instant.
Now's not the time. Excuse me, barmaid?
Hi, what do you need?
Does the name Priscilla mean anything to you?
Nope.
I was given the physical description of a man. I was wondering if you might recognize him if I told you.
Perhaps. Go on, then.
He's tall, of strong build, with a beard or mutton chops, dressing all in black and possibly wearing a cap.
Bit vague, wouldn't you say? That covers about half our clientele.
I was afraid that might be the case. Did you notice anyone of that description here on election night?
No. Can't say I did, sorry.
Is that right? Because Cormac told me he saw you speaking with someone of that description shortly after the murder occurred.
And you believed him? Cormac's a good sort, but he's not exactly reliable.
I'd say he's twice as reliable as you are. Now tell me the truth,
Wow.
or I'll have you in as an accomplice to murder.
All right, relax. I don't know the man by name, but he came to me after the commotion outside and paid me a few crowns to keep my mouth shut about it. I didn't ask any more questions, and I wasn't about to refuse some extra cash. That was that, I swear.
That's not good enough. I need some way to find this man. Is there anything else you can tell me?
Well, I did notice he had a scar on his left cheek. Kinda looked like a shepherd's crook. But that's all, really.
Suppose that'll have to do.
Huh.
I appreciate you
Was
taking
that
the
the
time
one
to
guy
chat.
that she mentioned
Yeah,
before?
yeah.
Or no? Someone mentioned someone with a scar. I can't remember who. Oh, is it the... Well, I guess I could just use that as a thing for his search.
Can we talk for a moment, Upton?
Certainly. What's on your mind?
Can I try giving you that
Sure. Could you?
He's tall.
All right.
I'm certain.
All right.
Yes, he has a scar on his left cheek in the shape of a shepherd's crook.
Good. That will be helpful. All right, I'll put out the bulletin. Give me a moment. All right, the bulletin is out. I'll let you know if...
Oh, what the hell?
Upton? Just got your bulletin.
Hello, Giles. Have you got something for me?
As a matter of fact, I've got someone in the jail fitting your description perfectly.
You don't say.
Yup. Name's Harvey Presser. Got picked up a couple of days ago.
Thank you, Giles. You heard the man, Fordham. You've got yourself someone to interrogate over at Bow Street.
Been a while since we've been here.
Fordham? You look even worse than the last time I saw you.
We can't all manage to keep looking as good as you, Giles.
What brings you back?
I'm looking to speak with your prisoner.
Presser? I just got off the horn with Upton about him. Seems you're not the only one interested in finding the man.
Then I suppose it's lucky I got here first.
Suppose so.
What was he brought in for, exactly?
He's the suspected leader of a cooping gang. Makes me glad I didn't bother to vote. All those dirty politics are just a waste of time.
And people wonder why nothing in Parliament ever changes.
Saved it in a while.
Harvey Presser, I presume.
Who's asking?
Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator.
What do you want from me?
Just a few minutes of your time. You don't have anywhere to be, do you?
Hardy ha. Ask what you want, but I'm not answering anything until I see a lawyer.
Do you recognize the man in this ferrotype?
Should I?
His name is Ronan Lisp. He was shot outside the Silent Raven on election night.
That's a real shame.
Are you saying you know nothing about the murder outside the Silent Raven on election night?
Not a thing. I've never even heard of the Silent Raven.
Is that right? Because I've spoken to at least 3 people who swore they saw you there that night.
Yeah, and you're not police, so that doesn't scare me. You can't do a thing about it.
This guy's starting to get on my nerves. There has to be a way to make him talk.
I hear you were arrested for leading a cooping gang, is that right?
I don't have to tell you a thing. You're not a copper.
That's all the questions I have for now.
Good. Leave me in peace.
How are we gonna get him to talk? Again, that's there. Oh yeah, I was supposed to talk to him while we were here. Kinda got sidetracked.
I don't think the good doctor has anything else to teach us right now. Assorted lab equipment for setting things...
I guess there is nothing to do there. Why is it saying investigate the crime scene? Did I miss this before?
Yesterday's rain has made the water level rise significantly. Is it just me, or does it look like there's something resting at the bottom of the drain?
If there is, I have no way of getting to it through the drain cover.
Yesterday's rain, is it just...
If there is...
What could I use to get that?
She doesn't seem the type for idle chat.
Gotta go looking for something I can get that with.
What a mess.
Nothing around here.
These advertisements are all at least 10 years out of date.
Let's go to some places we haven't been to in a while. Just to double check.
I don't think he'll be much more help at the moment.
We could go back to this place. Is there anything here? The umbrella?
Looks like that umbrella's gotten some good use. It was quite the rainstorm we had yesterday.
No.
Therein lies Upton's boudoir.
There's nothing here.
Hello, Jimbo. I have a few more questions for you.
All right, fine.
Does the name Priscilla mean anything to you?
Yes, that's my ship, the SS Priscilla.
I see. Did Ronan know about it?
Of course. He always used to ask me to bring him back some exotic souvenir.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Okay, that's a little strange. I haven't talked to her in a while.
You got time for a few more questions, Mrs. Morgan?
Yes, of course.
Are you familiar with someone who goes by the name Jimbo?
No, I don't think so. Who is that?
A friend of Ronan's.
No, as I told you, I didn't know Ronan to have any friends. I especially don't recall him mentioning anyone called Jimbo.
Did Ronan know anyone named Priscilla?
Priscilla? No, I never heard that name before. Who is she?
Just a name that's come up in my investigation.
I wonder if Ronan had finally met a young woman.
Oh, boy. Now you've done it.
Those are all the questions I have for now.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
That was no help.
The stuff in that day-old box?
How else can I get something out of that drain? Can't think of a single thing. Maybe he knows the way?
Moment of your time, if I may.
Right, I'll make it quick.
Do you know anyone named Priscilla?
Ah, that's not a name Cormac knows.
Frankly, I'm surprised it's not the name of one of his tools.
I'll let you return to your work.
Be mindful on your way out.
Another mysterious device. You know, if you stare at this thing long... Oh, God. Another Now I see why they call it...
Just thinking of things I can
Leave him
pick
be.
up.
He's not much of a conversationalist.
Running out of leads here.
He won't be much more help.
Maybe in his place? Yeah, we haven't been back here in a while. Books have anything that I need, right?
It's in another language. No title.
Nothing else in here, right?
A model of the SS Joondalup. Oh, this empty safe. It's empty.
I'm a little stumped here. I wonder if
It's empty.
Would it be the gun that was thrown into that drain?
Nothing else. A statue of... Huh. Puffin's Daily... Puffin's Daily... Music books.
Going back to him. Oh yeah, we tried going back to him, didn't we?
He won't be much more help.
Yeah, I'm stuck here. Gotta be something else at the murder site. Oh, well, I guess that's what the drain is. Gotta be some way to get this out. I just can't think of a single way.
Yesterday's rain has made the water level rise significantly. Is it just me, or does it look like there's something resting at the bottom of the drain?
If there is, I have no way of getting to it through the drain cover.
Securely fastened, unfortunately for you. If only there was some way to undo these bolts and remove the drain cover.
How am I gonna remove bolts? Oh, maybe now that I've looked at the bolts, I can talk to... What's his face?
Moment of your time.
Right.
Would you be able to remove the cover of a storm drain?
Yes, of course, sir. Cormac's got the right tool for the job. Just a few twists from old Mary here, and any drain will open up like a Christmas rose.
Excellent. Would you be able to open the storm drain outside the Silent Raven?
Suppose so, yes. But Cormac ain't allowed to just open up drains as he sees fit. What do you want this drain open for?
I believe there's a vital piece of evidence at the bottom of the drain.
You don't say.
It's quite true. It may even help me solve a murder.
Well then, in that case, Cormac will get the drain open for you. Come on, there's not a moment to lose. This it then?
That's the one.
Right, won't be a moment. There we are.
Thank you for your help, Cormac.
Not a problem. Now, if you don't mind, Cormac's just going to pop inside for a quick pint.
Detective work is a dirty job, but someone has to do it. Don't forget to roll up your sleeve.
I really hope there's something down there.
My guess would be the gun.
Ugh. This is almost as bad as the time I had to search for that stolen necklace in a pile of horse manure.
I'm really glad I didn't draw the short straw in that case.
Yeah, I figured.
Well, how about that?
A shame the police managed to overlook this.
Let's not stick around here if there's nothing more to ask about right now.
Okay, one thing I have to do, I'm pretty sure. Gotta confirm that it's the same gun. Huh? Did I not do that? I guess it's just part of it. Oh yeah, wait, never mind. Guessing we have to show him the gun because he said something about matching up the bullets.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes?
I found this pistol at the scene of the Lisp crime. Could you take a look and see if it was used to murder him?
It's all slimy. Where was it?
Sitting at the bottom of a storm drain.
Oh, I suppose that's not as exciting as finding it inside someone's intestines. Did I ever tell you about that post-mortem, by the way?
No, I certainly don't want to hear about it now. How long will it take you to analyze that pistol?
I should have something conclusive within the hour, if you don't mind waiting.
No, it'll give me some time to gather my thoughts.
Right. I've concluded my analysis, and this gun was definitely used to shoot Mr. Lisp. The bullet I removed from his body is a perfect match.
Thank you, Edwards. That is extremely helpful.
There's one more thing. I cleaned off some of the muck and found the initials JB etched into the handle.
Interesting.
My expertise with guns is purely forensic, so I can't determine if this is the gun's maker or the initials of its owner. That's going to have to be your job.
Thank you, Edwards. Your help is always appreciated.
JB. Wasn't the name on Puffin's gun case Jenkins and Bowen? That's quite a coincidence, wouldn't you say?
I'll be going now, Edwards.
Take care, Fordham.
Do I have to go back there to confirm it, or...?
Miles, have you ever noticed that this Jimbo fellow fits the description of the man loitering outside the taxidermy shop? The barmaid told us she saw someone matching that description at the Raven on election night. Not only that, Priscilla just so happens to be the name of the ship Jimbo works on. And the pistol used to murder Ronan has the initials JB etched on it.
It doesn't feel right.
It could be a coincidence, but I think it's quite reasonable to consider him as a suspect. Things are starting to fall into place here, Miles. Between the letters, the missing gun, and what Edwards told us about the effects of opium, I think we have enough evidence to consider Puffin a suspect.
Yeah, Puffin's a bigger suspect. But we still have some... I still don't know about this Harvey Presser guy. Yeah, so we're not going to accuse anyone just yet. Just for fun. Doesn't help anything, does it? How else can I get that Harvey Presser guy to talk to me?
No point asking him about anything else right now. Let him sit and rot.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Gonna go get something to drink. So, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. So for thinking it over, I have absolutely no idea who it would be. Be one of these two, could even be this guy. Never found anything out about his clothes or anything. So the guy outside doesn't really help us. Not really sure here. What else can we do? Seriously, no way to look to
No
him?
point asking him about anything else. He's watching you like a hawk. I bet that's a direct line to the...
Oh wait, didn't want to come here.
Can we talk for a moment, Upton?
Certainly. What's on your mind?
Upton, what do you have on this Harvey Presser fellow?
Give me a moment, and I'll locate the arrest report. Here we are. He was picked up in a bar in Chumley after being identified as the leader of a cooping gang by one of his fellow gang members.
So much for loyalty. Anything else about him?
Not much besides his address.
That might be worth looking into.
It's 5885 Riverview Road, right near the asylum.
Ah, wonderful. Maybe afterwards you can drop by and pick out a room.
See, I really think I should have done this for some
I'll
of the
let you
cases.
get back to work.
And you'd better do the same.
Just a moment! Yeah? What do you want?
Ooh,
Ooh, she doesn't look like the type to take any guff. Better watch yourself, Miles.
Mrs. Presser, I'd like to speak with you about your husband.
Well, he's not here right now. He's been away for a few days, actually. Who are you exactly?
My name's Miles Fordham. I just have a few questions. I promise this won't take long.
All right, come in. But try and keep it down. My daughter isn't feeling well, and I don't want her being disturbed.
She doesn't look so good. A man's coat. Seems Harvey wasn't expecting to be out for very long. Some of those modern steam cleaners. If they use them in this place, they clearly aren't worth a damn. It seems peasant soup is on the menu tonight.
And he makes fun of rich people and poor people.
Seems to be a notice from the bank threatening to foreclose on this place if they're late on their rent payment again. No wonder Harvey's taken a second job. Presumably that goes into the presser's bedroom. Or it might be a closet. Or both.
Hey, Brad, how's it going?
Mrs. Presser?
This isn't really a visual novel.
What?
More of a point-and-click adventure.
You know a man named Ronan Lisp?
Never heard of him.
And you've never seen the man in this ferrotype?
Nope. And I'm glad I haven't. Looks like a real pushover.
Wow.
What does your husband do for a living, Mrs. Presser?
Harvey? He's a traveling salesman. Sells steam-powered cleaners like the ones in the corner there.
Oh?
Doesn't make much money on account of most people being afraid of steam tech these days. But Harvey tries his best to provide for me and little Mary. He's a good man. The job takes him out of town for days at a time, but we get by.
And that's all he does?
What are you asking? You know something I don't?
No, not at all.
Kind of.
I was just curious.
Oh, look, another husband keeping secrets from his wife. There are a copper a dozen around here, it seems.
So what do you do while your husband's away?
Hang on there, what are you playing at? I'm a married woman.
Ow.
I merely wanted to know a bit more about you, that's all. I meant no disrespect.
Is that your game? Asking innocent ladies about themselves so you can have your way?
She doesn't have to worry about being mistaken for innocent, that's for sure.
No, you know what? Just forget I said anything. Is your daughter all right?
She's just come down with a bit of something. This stew I'm making will put her right again. I've been giving her regular doses of Pink Bladder's Miracle Tonic, too. I'm sure she'll be back to tearing the house down again in a matter of days. Ticks after her father, that one.
I don't see how any of this is helping with my
Are you
investigation.
pleased with the election results?
Yeah, I'm glad that no-good high muckamuck Outwood was voted out. Maybe now they can finally get to work on that bridge to Gascon we've been promised for so long.
But won't Leroy's opposition to steam tech be bad for your husband's business?
Maybe, but Harvey's always managed to land on his feet. If it comes down to it, I'm sure he'll be able to find a new job in no time. I was never too keen on him selling those contraptions anyway. It'll be a relief to get them out of the house.
I don't have any more questions for you, Mrs. Presser.
Good.
Wow. She's kind of rough. So I guess we got some information on him. Maybe talking about his kid will help.
A few more questions for you, Mr. Presser.
Whatever you say.
I had a little chat with your wife. You have a lovely family.
Mildred? How did you...
I may not be with the police anymore, but that doesn't mean I can't still get the information I need.
You didn't tell her about me being in jail, did you?
Don't worry. It was quite obvious your wife has no idea what you're involved in. As a man who values discretion, I thought it best not to shatter her illusions.
That's awfully decent of you.
Of course, I might change my mind, unless you start to cooperate.
Sweet.
I have to say, Miles, you've become a real natural at this tough cop role.
All right, fine. I'll talk. Just leave my family out of it.
Do you recognize the man in this ferrotype?
Yes, I do. That's Mr. Lisp.
And how is it you know him?
I was assigned to watch him and then pick him up on election night.
Assigned? By whom?
My employer. I'd really rather not name names, Mr. Fordham.
I don't care about your employer. What I care about is what you were doing with Mr. Lisp.
Well, it was a cooping scheme. He was one of the people I was told to pick up.
Tell me what you know about the murder outside the Silent Raven.
The most important thing I can tell you is that I didn't kill him.
Do you know who
Sure,
did?
you didn't.
Not a clue. I was inside the bar when I heard the gunshot. I went outside to see what had happened and found the spay on the sidewalk.
And what happened next?
What do you think? I panicked. He was in my care. I wasn't expecting anyone to get killed.
I think Mr. Presser has a wildly different definition of the word care.
I went inside and gave the barmaid 10 crowns to keep her mouth shut. Clearly, that was money misspent. Then I went back home, told my wife I was going away on a business trip for a few days, just in case. Good thing I did, too. I might get out of this with her none the wiser.
What makes you so sure they'll let you out?
Me? I'm just a small fish, but I could talk and talk about whales. That's valuable information.
Quite the shrewd negotiator, this one. I think his skills have been wasted.
Is this your first time in jail?
Yeah, actually. Suppose you think I'm just some criminal scum, born for the gibbet? I'm not a bad man, Mr. Fordham. I just made some mistakes. You've met my family. I'd do anything for them. Anything.
I suppose no good deed goes unpunished.
You can say that again.
Tell me more about this cooping scheme.
I got paid to find men to vote for Atwood. Simple, really. Once I found a good mark, I followed him a bit, knocked him out, then took him to the coop, a little room I rented near the Raven. I had about 5 men on election night, including the spay. Got them all liquored up and walked them over to the polls. Once each of them voted, we'd walk back over to the coop. I'd change their clothes, maybe give them a fake beard, and walk back for another vote. Did it for myself, too, so people would be less likely to notice. Kept it up for a few hours, until the murder.
That's all the questions I have for now.
Good. Leave me in peace.
Apparently I got an achievement for talking to him about that. That doesn't really help with my case, though. Still only have these 2 suspects. Not enough to really go on. He has no real motive. Well, neither does he. Huh.
He won't have anything relevant to tell us right now.
Can't get any
Won't
more
be much
information
more
out of
help.
either of them, so... Anything more at the police station?
Keep up the good work, Upton. I might have some more questions later.
I guess I just have
no
to
doubt
pick
you
one.
will.
I don't know. So the pistol, that's the closest thing I think we have. Because that means... Yeah, Tom Puffin has a pistol. Does that really mean he's the murderer? So yeah, this guy's just following him for that. So that destroys most of the evidence, really. But why would he kill him? It doesn't make any sense. Cheddar Priscilla. Wait, is one of the notes maybe? Got the landlord stuff. I don't really... That can't be all that there is for evidence. Too much of a guess. But I've really got nothing else. Guess we're gonna have to. Puffin seems like the most logical one to say.
Have you got time for a few more questions, Mrs. Morgan?
Yes, of course.
Besides accusing, is there anything? No, there's nothing else.
Those are
all right.
I guess I'll save it first. Even though I have no plans of saves coming in this game, I'm just gonna go with whatever decisions I choose.
You got time for a few more questions, Mrs. Morgan?
Yes, of course.
I've completed my investigation of your brother's murder, Mrs. Morgan.
You have? Oh, that's such a relief to hear. Who killed him?
It was Tom Puffin, choir master at St. Denis Cathedral.
What? But why would a member of the church do something like that?
Puffin is in love with his nephew Ned's fiancée, Priscilla. He's even gone so far as to intercept their letters and write to each of them under false pretenses. Mr. Puffin is also an avid opium user and is prone to fits of rage as well as hallucinations. The evening of the murder, Puffin was at the Silent Raven, and in his opium-induced fog, mistook your brother for Ned.
Oh yeah, they did say they look alike. I forgot
Rage
about
and jealousy
that.
got the better of him. Poor Ronan was simply in the wrong place. at the
Okay, it
wrong
makes
time.
sense now.
And what about the clothes he was wearing? Or why he was in Chumley in the first place?
I'm afraid your brother fell victim to a cooping gang. They dragged him to Chumley
Oh,
and
yeah.
forced him to vote multiple
Wow,
times.
I didn't think about some
he
of
was
this
wearing
stuff
someone
too
else's
closely.
clothes as part of a disguise.
My poor brother. So what happens now?
Now, I'll inform Miss Upton of my findings, and she'll send an officer along to arrest Puffin. From there, justice will be served accordingly.
I see.
It was all
Thank
an
you
accident.
for your help,
kind
Mr.
of.
Fordham.
This is the one that makes the most sense. It's Jimbo doing it made no sense to me whatsoever.
Tom Puffin?
Yes, may I help you, officer?
You're under arrest for the murder of Ronan Lisp.
What? Oh God. So it wasn't a dream.
Come along, sir. We need to question you at the station.
So I guess this is the second case that I feel confident about.
You know, Miles, you've been coming in here a lot lately, but you've never looked quite this glum. What's going on?
I've bungled things pretty badly at home. Been staying with a friend the past couple of weeks.
I see. What happened?
I haven't been honest with my wife. Coming here and drowning my sorrows hasn't really helped, oddly enough. And yet, it's all I can do to keep from going crazy.
You know, Miles, I've seen and heard a lot of things over the years. Some of the stories would turn your hair white. But through it all, I've come to learn one thing. It's usually not too late to make things better, but only if you let yourself try.
Thank you for the advice, Patrick.
All I can do is give it, Miles. Whether you choose to take it or not is entirely up to you. Now, would you like another gin?
No, thank you. This time I really do need to be on my way. I should go and see how my wife is doing.
I see. Well, have a good night, Miles. And good luck to you.
Who in the ether?
You gonna finally tell her
Miles?
about Bill?
This is a surprise.
I've decided to forgive you. Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Addie, it's so good to see you. I've been such an idiot lately.
Well, I'm glad you can admit to it. Would you like to come in?
Very much.
Was there something you wanted to talk about?
I've given it a lot of thought, and I think it's time I finally told you the truth.
Miles, what are you doing? You know this is a terrible idea.
The truth?
About why I've been acting the way I have been since Bill died.
Well, go on. I'm listening.
Don't do it, Miles. You know it's a one-way ticket to Riverview if you do.
I've been hearing Bill's voice ever since he died.
Fordham, what is wrong with you?
His voice?
I can't believe this! You've just destroyed your life! I hope you realize that!
Yes, in my head, at all hours. That's why I was taking the soporific. It was the only way to keep him quiet. Or so I thought. Turns out that alcohol has the same effect.
What does he say to you?
The type of things he'd say when he was alive. Snarky comments, inappropriate jokes. Mainly he nags me to find the flower shop burglar. He thinks doing that will let him find peace and move on.
I see.
I told you you'd think I was crazy.
Don't be ridiculous, Miles. It's nothing like that. It's just, I wish you had told me sooner is all.
He is kind of crazy.
I know, but I was afraid.
Well, I'm glad you finally trusted me. You know, you could have all along.
So, you're all right with it?
It is quite a lot to take in. I think I'll need some time to mull it over. But what matters now is that we can work through this together.
I
That worked out
understand.
better than I thought.
Well, I should probably go. It was lovely to see you again, Addie.
Lovely to see you too, Miles.
Perhaps I'll stop by again next week?
Or sooner, if you'd like.
Sure. Like the men in white coats aren't gonna have you taken away by then.
Right. I'll see myself out then.
Good night, Miles.
Achievement for that too.
Fordham, wake up.
Huh? He just leapt over the side. I don't... Oh, Upton. What's going on?
Goodness, Fordham. You look terrible. Is everything all right?
Just had some trouble sleeping. More than usual.
Well, I hope you've rested enough, because I've got something very important to show you.
Oh, wonderful. If we're sharing information now, are you gonna tell Upton about me as well?
What is it?
There's been a murder.
Oh, another case?
I assume this one is special somehow, or you wouldn't be bringing it to me.
I thought that great detectives never assumed.
There are exceptions to every rule.
Anyway, you're right. The victim in question is a member of Parliament, a man named Percival McDonough, to be precise. But this is the real corker. The murder is clearly the work of the Justice Killer.
The Justice Killer? Is that the mass murderer I've been hearing about?
The very same.
Why Justice Killer, though?
It's part of his modus operandi. He kills his victims with a single gunshot to the head, then writes the word justice somewhere in the room with the victim's blood.
Talk about melodramatic.
The police are stumped. This is the killer's 5th victim, and there isn't a single lead.
So you want me to investigate?
Not just yet. First, I need you to look at these sketches.
You took crime scene sketches from the department?
Of course not. I made copies with the station's Pharaoh duplicator. These killings need to stop, and I believe you can succeed where the department has so far failed.
So, what am I looking for?
The police went over each crime scene with a fine-toothed comb and turned up practically no useful physical evidence. I want a second opinion from you. If you can find some sort of link between them, it might be possible to track this monster down.
It's a shot in the dark. I can't guarantee I'll find anything that the police didn't see, but it's worth a look.
Here are the 4 sketches. Have a look at them and see if you notice anything that might help us find this maniac.
If only you hadn't told Adelaide about me, I might share my thoughts with you.
Oh no.
As it is, you're on your own.
Wow, what a jerk. We have to just kind of figure this out.
What's the point? It's not like you're actually going to be able to investigate this case. Whoever drew this was a hack. That looks more like a piece of toast than a flower.
Nothing really of note here.
I'm sure this is terribly relevant, but I've got nothing to say about it. I don't feel like looking at dead bodies right now. Is there something more exciting we could be doing?
Jeez, what a baby.
Oh, were you hoping for some witty insight? Shame, because you're not getting any.
So there's a flower in each one. Or at least in the first 2.
I'm really not in the mood to be analyzing crime scene sketches right now. Yeah, he's dead. Big deal. Boring.
Damn. Pissed.
Boring, just like everything else in this sketch.
Interesting.
Oh, what? You actually found something without my help? I'm shocked! Wait, what's that? I see an important clue. Just kidding. Maybe you should write crazy over your bed.
Upton?
What is it, Fordham?
About those crime scene sketches.
Yes?
I think I found a connection.
I knew you would. What is it?
There's a single flower at each crime scene. They look deliberately placed.
There is? Let me have a look. You're right. One lily at each scene.
Wait, what did you say?
These flowers.
Oh, man.
They're lilies. Easter lilies, I think.
I don't believe it!
Upton, this is incredible. This is the lead I've been searching for.
What? You mean for another case?
The flower shop burglar. He was stealing Easter lilies. And I distinctly remember him saying something about his desire to uphold justice. At the time, I thought it was just the rambling of a lunatic, but now it seems so obvious.
So the flower shop burglar is the justice killer?
It seems too much of a coincidence otherwise.
Well, then that's wonderful. You can kill two birds with one stone. Excellent work, Fordham. I knew you could do it.
What exactly are the details regarding this justice killer?
The killings began a few months ago, and so far he's claimed 5 victims. The department wanted to keep this information out of the public eye to prevent a panic, but word has gotten out. On the bright side, it makes your involvement in the case much less suspicious.
What can you tell me about the previous victims?
4 men from Chumley: Hannibal Kirkland, Reggie Willingham, Ennis Bowditch, and Burley Cause. No known connection between any of them aside from the borough they lived in. I have copies of the police reports from each of the crime scenes. Go ahead and take them.
Thank you, Upton.
Oh man, that's gonna be so much information.
What are the details regarding the killer's latest victim?
As I mentioned, the victim is Percival McDonough, a member of Parliament. He was found this morning by his secretary in his office. I expect the official investigation is still underway.
So the killer managed to get into the Houses of Parliament. No easy feat.
You can say that again. It's the killer's first high-profile victim. It means he's getting bolder.
I suppose I'll have to drop by and see for myself. Everything all right with you?
Oh, I'm getting by. I expect things will go back to normal once this killer is caught.
I haven't worn out my welcome here yet, have I?
No, you're still tolerable. But when was the last time you washed your hair?
You're starting to sound like Adelaide. I should get back to it.
Not
I'm
a bad
guessing
idea.
This is possibly the last
Right.
case.
I think I have enough information to get started. I think I'll begin with...
Odd. I wasn't expecting company. Chief Snelling?
Uh-oh.
Upton, we need to
Uh-oh.
talk.
This is not good.
Fordham, I should have guessed I'd find you here.
Ah, Chief Snelling. What a pleasant surprise.
I'm equally pleased to see you, Fordham. Although, having you here does save me a bit of trouble.
Trouble?
Those are some rather interesting decorations. Would either of you care to explain how they got here?
And once again, the jig is up. I hope you can talk your way out of this one, too.
Oh no. I guess we should take the blame for it.
I brought them here, after I made duplicates and took them from the police department.
Nice try, Fordham, but I know for a fact that isn't true. The Ferroduplicator makes a report of every employee who uses it, as well as what was copied. A rather useful feature for instances such as these. Wouldn't you agree?
These gadgets are going to be the undoing of us all.
In any case, I did some digging and discovered some intriguing information. Upton, why have you been passing on classified police information to Mr. Fordham?
Because he's the best detective you ever had on the force, and you know it.
Is that right? Personally, I don't consider getting your partner killed the mark of a
Ow.
great detective. But what's done is done. Constance Upton, your employment with the New Britannia Police Department is hereby terminated.
Oh shit.
But
I should add that it's only because of your 25 years of dedicated service that I'm not pressing charges against you. But as for you, Fordham, I have enough evidence to place you under arrest for obstruction of justice and interfering with police investigations. Do you have anything to say in your defense before I take you in for questioning?
That might be a little premature. I guess I could say it that it's the killer.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. I know who the Justice Killer is.
Fordham, if this is your idea of a diversion...
It's true. I found a link in the sketches of the crime scenes.
All right, let's hear it then. What do you think you found?
I'll tell you if you promise to let me take the case.
Out of the question, Fordham. This is a police matter.
And the police haven't made progress in months. Fordham figured it out in a matter of minutes. Admit it, Snelling. Fordham is your best shot at finding the killer. Are you gonna let your personal differences put the people of this city in danger?
Fine. I'll let you continue to operate as an assistant in this case, if you have actually found something of value. Now, what is this link?
He leaves a single Easter lily at each crime scene. The same type of flowers the burglar and the chum was stealing.
I see. A tenuous link, but plausible. I'll give you until tomorrow afternoon. If you haven't come up with anything, I'm throwing you in jail.
Man.
Sounds fair to me.
And don't get any clever ideas about leaving town, either.
Come now, would I do something like that?
Fordham, it seems there's no telling what you might do. I'm probably a fool for not clapping you in irons right here and now. When you have something to report, come find me in my office. Don't make me regret this.
Well, that went better than I expected.
Except you're still fired. I didn't have a chance to get him to change his mind.
We'll worry about that after you catch the killer. In the meantime, I could use a drink. I'll see you later, Fordham.
Well, better get to work then. The clock is ticking.
This should be interesting. Oh, I should have read the paper first. Just to be 100% on something. See if it mentions... the cooping scheme is here. Wait. Oh yeah, it was a pro-Edward scheme, so... so even though he lost, he cheated too. Mass murder. So it does mention Tom Puffin by name here. I have no idea if that means you're right or not, but I know the first two cases that I wasn't sure about didn't have the name in the paper. Maxwell. Oh. Charges of fraud? Exploiting your clients and robbing them of their money. Uh-oh, we told her about, Bill, though. Well, no use dwelling on that. Okay, so we have the police station, and yeah, I might as well go here first.
Fordham, what brings you to this delightful spectacle?
Hello, Edwards. I'm investigating the Justice Killer. I believe I've got a very promising lead.
I heard an officer mention new orders from Snelling, but I thought he was just pulling my leg. Feel free to have a look around. I'm just writing up the notes from my initial examination of the body, so I'll be happy to share my findings.
Good. I'll just get started then.
Looks pretty fresh. I wonder what the killer uses to write with. Nothing but a bunch of boring documents. You'd think he could have at least been considerate enough to keep something scandalous in here. These appear to be books on cryptography. I suppose everyone needs a hobby. Leave it to a politician to hang a portrait of himself in his own office. No signs of forced entry that I can see. The murderer didn't come in through this window. Nothing has been written in yet for next month. Curious. Odd. The page for this month has been torn out. You suppose Edwards might know anything about that? The former Percival McDonough, being a good politician.
Got a moment, Edwards?
Of course. What's on your mind?
So, what was found at the crime scene?
A dead body.
Jeez.
Edwards.
Hey, just trying to lighten the mood a bit. Anyway, there was also the word justice written in blood, as you can see on the floor there.
Is that all?
What more do you need? All the pieces are in place. This is the work of the justice killer.
What did your examination of the body turn up?
Apparent cause of death was a single gunshot to the head, exactly like all the other victims. The bullet is still lodged in his brain. I'll remove it once I transport the body back to the mortuary.
Anything else?
No personal effects of note, just a folded up piece of paper in his breast pocket. It's blank, so the police weren't interested. I assume you aren't either.
Never assume, Edwards. I'll take it if you don't mind.
Be my guest.
Huh. Blank piece of paper.
Did the police manage to learn anything during their investigation?
Not much beyond what I've already told you. I think they were planning on speaking to the victim's wife, though.
Did you get the address?
I did, as a matter of fact. 1820 Kent Place.
Now we get to deal with the grieving widow. Hopefully the officers who delivered the news got the worst of it.
Did you find an Easter lily anywhere?
An Easter lily?
Yes. The justice killer leaves one at every crime scene.
Is that right? I never noticed.
Neither did anyone else, apparently.
So how does leaving a lily at the scene of the crime figure into all of this?
I'm still trying to figure that out, but I think it might be important to understanding his motive.
Well, be sure to let me know if you do figure it out. The thought process of killers is a twisted, curious thing.
What's your take on this whole justice killer situation?
It's giving me a lot of extra work, let me tell you. We haven't had a serial murderer in a long time, not since that fellow who was poisoning people about 10 years ago.
Ah, yes. Gascon Ghoul. Now there was a case.
Any theories or insights regarding the killer's motive or identity?
That's not really my specialty. If you want to get into that psychology stuff, you're better off talking to someone like Snelling.
Does it feel good to be out of the office?
As long as I have the chance to examine a body and learn something in the process, I don't care where I am. Though I do admit a preference to working in my own environment. Fieldwork can be a bit uncertain. There's so much more potential for contamination, especially with those clumsy officers trouncing about groping everything. Present company excluded, of course.
Edwards, did you notice McDonough's desk calendar?
I did. This month has been torn out. I asked the officers investigating the scene, and they had no idea what happened to it.
So it wasn't found in this room?
That's right. My theory is that the killer took it.
Which means there was probably something incriminating written on it. If only there was some way of knowing what it was.
Miles, have you forgotten the oldest trick in the book? Just find a pencil and you'll have that information in no time.
Edwards, do you have a
I
pencil
see.
I might borrow?
Of course. Take this one.
Thank you.
We're gonna...
That's all for now, Edwards.
Good luck with your investigation.
I think I know what the plan is there.
A classic trick. Let's see if it works.
This is a little weird. Not seeing anything yet. Oh wait, Ruby. We got 2 of them so far. Anything else? Oh my god, are they really gonna make me fill out this whole thing? Okay, can you just like finish this? Or maybe if I just fill out these squares perfectly. Oh, there we go.
Intriguing. We'll need to find out who this Ruby is. Aha! McDonough met with this person the night of the murder. I'll bet 500 crowns it's a false name, but at least it's something. No time to waste with further conversation. No signs of forced entry that I can see. The murderer didn't come in through this window.
Guess that's all we can get from here. Oh wait, I didn't check those papers on the floor. Does that really matter? Make 100% sure. Nope.
What? Who are you?
I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. Your butler just announced me.
Oh, of course. Forgive me. I was just, well, never mind. Please make yourself comfortable, Mr. Fordham.
Thank you, Mrs. McDonough. I appreciate you seeing me, Mrs. McDonough. I know you must be going through a difficult time right now.
What exactly is it you want from me, Mr. Fordham? I already spoke to the police about my husband's murder.
I just have a few questions of my own.
Oh, very well.
What can you tell me about your husband?
I'll tell you the same thing I told the police, Mr. Fordham. Percival was one of the hardest working members of Parliament. He took his job extremely seriously. The recent election caused him a terrible amount of consternation, as I'm sure it did most people. He took Atwood's loss rather hard.
Did you see much of him?
I beg your pardon?
Surely someone with such an important position in government could find themselves consumed by their work. Did he spend much time at home?
He made it a point to come home and have dinner with me every night, even if he had to return to the office afterwards.
And did that happen often?
At least 3 or 4 times in a week, yes. He'd stay in his office working late into the night. As I said, he was very dedicated to his role.
Sounds to me like she's quite dedicated to hers, too.
Did your husband have any enemies?
He was a politician, Mr. Fordham. Half the city hated him.
Did he ever receive any kind of threats against his life?
None that I was ever made aware of. I have no idea who could have killed him, let alone who could have gotten into his office to do it. He hadn't told me about any meetings or appointments this week either.
Was it his custom to inform you of his work affairs?
Oh, well, I've always taken an interest in my husband's work. He'd often mention initiatives he was working on or people he was meeting, that sort of thing. Nothing sensitive or confidential, you understand. Just conversation about his day.
Can you think of any reason why your husband would have been murdered?
Not really. He was a vocal opponent of the construction of the Gascogne-Chumley Bridge, but I hardly think that would have been sufficient reason to drive someone to murder.
Why is that?
Well, it's just a bridge, isn't it? There are plenty of other ways to get to Chumley.
I meant, why was he opposed to it?
Oh, because the amount of money required to build it is exorbitant. Public funds should be used on roads and buildings that are falling apart. What's the point of having something shiny and new if everything around it is in disrepair?
How are you feeling, Mrs. McDonough?
My husband of 42 years was shot in his office. How do you think I feel?
Tactful as always, Fordham. How do you do it?
My apologies. Perhaps that wasn't the most appropriate question. Is there anything I can do to help?
You can start by finding the monster who murdered Percival.
Are you familiar with the art of cryptography, Mrs. McDonough?
What an odd question.
It's just I noticed several books on the subject in your husband's office.
Oh, well, yes. Percival was interested in cryptography and secret messages and the like. He would sometimes leave me coded notes when we first began courting many years ago.
Blank piece of paper in his
Oh, now,
pocket.
Mr. Fordham, those were private. But Percival got a thrill out of knowing I was the only one who could read them. Sometimes he would write them using a special ink that would only appear when the paper was heated. I can't remember the last time he did that, though.
You know anyone named Shackley?
No, I've never heard that name before. Why?
I saw your husband had a meeting scheduled with him shortly before his murder.
That can't be right. He didn't tell me about that. He always told me about his meetings.
Strange.
It was written on his office calendar, clear as day.
As I said, I don't know who that person is. Why wouldn't Percival have told me about their meeting?
Why indeed?
Are you familiar with someone named Ruby?
I can't say I am. Who is it?
Just a name that's come up in my investigation.
Sounds like the name of a trollop. Or perhaps a dog.
Have you heard of the Justice Killer?
That was the name the police mentioned when they told me about Percival's murder. It's absolutely terrifying to think that one sick person could be capable of such evil. Why is he called the Justice Killer? What justice was done by murdering my husband?
I'm afraid I can't answer that right now, Mrs. McDonough, but I intend to find out. Those are all the questions I have for now, Mrs. McDonough.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
Just a painting of some boring old aristocrat. Surely this one was called Lady Felicity Euphemia Beaversnatch the Simple. They look expensive, but I bet they're totally worthless. I feel sorry for the sucker who has to clean them.
Oh yeah.
If this actually works, I'll eat my hat.
Nice. Harm you again.
Well, I'll be damned.
Definitely have to ask her about that.
Lord Alfred Edward Shufflebottom the Wise comes to mind when looking at this one. This one looks like a Lady Camilla Prudence Wigglewaddle the Grey. They look expensive, but I think I'll call this one Lord Edmund Henry Lickspittle the Elder.
Can we talk some more, Mrs. McDonough?
I suppose so, yes.
Do you know anything about this letter?
I'm afraid I don't have my spectacles. What is it?
The coroner found it in your husband's pocket. He gave it to me because he thought it was blank. But after you told me about your husband's propensity for writing secret messages, I decided to try exposing the paper to heat. Allow me to read it to you. Dearest Mary, words cannot express the regret and sorrow I feel for how I acted last night. I swore to myself I would never harm you again after the last time, but I have failed us both. It is my deepest hope that you can forgive me and trust that I will never allow this monster out again.
I see. May I have that letter, Mr. Fordham?
I'm afraid I have to keep it for now. It's evidence.
I suppose that does make sense.
Mrs. McDonough, did Percival mistreat or abuse you?
He wasn't a bad man, Mr. Fordham. I wouldn't have married him if he was. It's just the stress of his responsibilities would sometimes oppress him. I would try and offer comfort, soothe his nerves, but there were a few instances where he lost control of his passions.
That's not good.
Did he ever hit you?
He did.
How many times did this happen?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe 2 or 3. You don't exactly count these things.
What a bastard. Maybe it serves him right for getting shot.
Wow.
Thank you for your candor, Mrs. McDonough.
Can we please talk about something else?
Those are all the questions I have for now, Mrs. McDonough.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
So I wonder if the killer knew about that. Guess we can go report to him.
Fordham, how goes the investigation?
I'm making some headway.
Is that right? I certainly hope so for your sake.
Chief Jacobs. Now there was a leader. The rumor was always that the chief kept a bottle of something in a secret compartment in this cabinet. In Snelling's case, it's probably just water. Every book and file in there is organized to perfection. I'll bet Snelling gets flustered if anything is even a millimeter out of place. You should bump into the side when he's not looking.
Chief Snelling?
Yes, Fordham?
What information do you have on the Justice Killer?
Clearly not as much as you.
I see how this is gonna go.
Well, what do you have?
A list of 5 victims, some information on each of them, and no clear idea what connects them. Until your discovery of the lily at each scene, that was where we stood. While I doubt this discovery will do much to aid in tracking him down, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Do you know anything about Percival McDonough?
He's a member of Parliament. I believe his constituency is somewhere in central Kingsland. From the reports I've gotten, McDonough led a rather unassuming life for a politician. He is, however, the first victim who didn't live in Chumley. Either there's a link we've missed, or the killer is changing his method. Then again, since you seem so confident in your abilities to resolve this matter, I assume you'll provide an explanation.
Count on it. What do you know about the Justice Killer's previous victims?
Only what's in their files. All working men from Chumley. That's the only link.
You didn't look further into their personal lives? Maybe they had some social connection.
As I said, the detectives found nothing. You seem to think you can do better, so I'll leave it up to you.
You have to wonder how much more thorough the department's investigations would have been if the 4 men were all rich like McDonough.
So I see the department is still running like a well-oiled machine.
It is, in fact. But I'm sure Upton has kept you well informed of our activities. Count yourself fortunate that your interference in our investigations didn't do any lasting damage.
Listen, about Leger's death.
I don't want to hear it, Fordham. What happened, happened. Nothing you can say is going to change my opinion on the matter.
And if I manage to find the man responsible?
The man responsible is standing before me. Even if you manage to find the culprit you let escape, it isn't going to bring Leger back from the dead.
But it will bring closure to the matter.
If that thought is what allows you to sleep at night, then so be it.
What makes him think you sleep at night?
Enjoying your new position, Snelling?
Reaping the rewards for years of hard work and dedicated service. A gratifying feeling you'll never be able to experience.
Oh, I get my gratification in other ways.
I'm sure you do, and I'd honestly rather not know about them.
I need to get back to my investigation.
Yes, time is not on your side, Fordham.
That wasn't much help. Upton back or something? Any reason to look back at these?
Whew. Oh, that's not a pretty sight. Way to ruin a perfectly good wall. I bet that'll take ages to clean up.
Actually responding now.
Must have been a powerful shot to knock him backwards like that.
Wait.
Should have listened to your mother.
Wonder if their positions mean anything.
At least this poor slob got to die in bed.
Well, we don't have many options on where to go.
No time to waste with further...
Find out the identity of Ruby. How... Confused. Did we miss something somewhere?
Nothing but a bunch of biographies, history books, and history book. These appear to be books on cryptography. I suppose.
What am I missing here?
Hello again.
Probably best to leave.
How am I supposed to find out who this Ruby person is? bridge kind of connects them, doesn't it? Oh, just looking at those report. Okay, I didn't know that was a thing. I guess because it didn't look at the reports for me, I had to do it myself. I'm not sure I like that. I guess I'll go to the bridge construction site because that's something that ties them together.
Huh, they seem to be making pretty decent progress. Safe for only 25 men at once. I used to draw the line at 2. I wonder if it would be any fun to tie yourself to that thing and go for a few spins.
Excuse me.
Hey, what are you doing here? This is a construction area.
I'm Miles Fordham, a private investigator. I'm looking into the murder of a man who used to work here.
Who? Bowditch?
That's right.
I got nothing to say about him, and neither do the rest of the boys.
I've only got a few questions. If you could just...
I've got nothing to say to you. You want to know more about Bowditch? Go talk to his little woman.
Where can I find her?
Ruin Coffee House. She's the serving girl. Now get out of here. If something falls on you, I'm not gonna take responsibility.
Short and to the point. I can respect that, even if it's extremely unhelpful.
I mean, he did point us somewhere. Although it's just back here. Been a while since we've been here.
Begging your pardon, miss.
How can I help you, sir?
I understand you were involved with Ennis Bowditch.
Was involved, yes. I haven't spoken to him in nearly 2 months.
Oh, were you not aware of his death then?
What? Ennis is dead?
Well, this is awkward.
Indeed. I'm sorry to have to be the bearer of bad news.
How did it happen?
I'm afraid he was murdered.
Murdered? By who? And why?
Those are exactly the questions I'm trying to answer myself.
Oh, I see. Are you a detective?
A private investigator, yes.
Well, I'll answer what I can. If it helps any, that is.
I'm certain it will. What was your relationship with Mr. Bowditch like?
Oh, well, it was nice at first. He was a proper gentleman-like. But then something changed.
Oh?
It's like I told Ruby. I think he might have got hit on the head at work.
Ruby.
Because he seemed to be a completely different person. He'd get angry for no reason. He even... Well, that bit's not important. At first, I thought he was just going through some rough times, but after a while I realized he'd changed for the worse. So I broke things off. He wasn't too happy about it, but I wasn't going to stick with a man like that.
This friend of yours, Ruby, did she know an MP named Percival McDonough?
I'm not sure. Ruby knows a lot of men.
What does that mean?
So?
Well, no, I don't mean... It's just... Oh, damn it all, me and my big mouth. She'll have my guts for garters now.
It's all right. No one's in trouble. But I think I'd like to speak with Ruby. Could you tell me where I can find her?
No. You see, she moves around quite a lot. Never in the same place for more than a night or two.
Right. I think she's given us a clear picture of what Ruby does for a living. Normally, I'd be all for pressing this girl more until she cracks, but I like her. I think we'll be able to find Ruby without causing her more discomfort.
Well, thank you for the information. You've been very helpful.
Wait, weren't there more questions? Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Justice Killer?
Justice Killer? Is that some kind of pesticide?
No, it isn't. Never mind. You've been working here for quite a while, haven't you?
I have, yes. Coming up on 3 years. Been a real pleasure getting to know all the regulars. They've come to be sort of like a second family. By the way, whatever happened with you and your lady friend?
I beg your pardon?
Well, that nice lady you met in here a couple of times. Did it work out between the two of you?
Oh, that? No, that was strictly business.
Right. Well, If you see her, tell her I said hello.
I'll let you get back to work.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Asleep at a coffee house. One of life.
So I think I'm seeing a pattern.
Well, that doesn't look good. This place sure is big. I wonder if they actually make anything useful.
Excuse me, sir. Are you in charge here?
Unfortunately. Who are you? This area isn't open to the public.
I'm Miles Fordham, and I'm a private investigator looking into the murder of one of your workers.
A private investigator, eh? Then maybe you can help me out.
I'll do what I can, but I'll need to ask you some questions, Mr.
Mims. Sanford Mims. Go ahead, but make it snappy.
What can you tell me about Hannibal Kirkland? A former employee here?
Listen, I've got a lot on my mind right now.
I understand, but it's important to my investigation that you tell me what you know about him.
I'm sure it is, but as you can see, I've got a lot to deal with right now.
Well, he's no help. Maybe you can figure out a way to help him help us.
Are you sure you can't tell me anything about Hannibal Kirkland?
It's like I've told you. I've got to deal with this mess. I don't have time for your questions.
What happened to your iron mill?
What's it look like? The damn thing went and got blown up.
Was it in disrepair?
Of course not. All my machinery is sound. Checked and serviced regularly. This is the work of those goddamn Redites. I'm sure of it.
What makes you certain the explosion was the Redites doing?
Take a look, boy. The whole mill got taken out. Even if this had been a mechanical failure, which it wasn't, the explosion would have been contained to a single part of the machine. This couldn't have been anything other than sabotage.
Have you had problems with the Redites before?
They've sent anonymous letters, but this is the first time they've actually carried out one of their threats.
You're absolutely sure this was sabotage, then?
Yes. How many times have I got to tell you that? Listen, you said you were an investigator, right? So find out who did this to my machine. If you do, I'll help you out with whatever else you wanted to ask me about.
Looks like we haven't got much of a choice. He seems pretty upset about his machine.
I'll see what I can do. Are you familiar with the Justice Killer?
The who?
He's a serial murderer who's killed 5 men over the past 4 months.
Is that right? Never heard of him.
He may have killed one of your men. Weren't the police here asking about it?
Oh, is that what that was all about? I know they came poking around here a while back, but I was busy dealing with other things.
It's nice to see the lines of communication here are wide open.
How long have you been the foreman here?
Sometimes I think it's been too long. Things were so much easier before we got these machines. They keep saying they're supposed to improve our lives, but they've been nothing but trouble. I've already had 5 of my best men get mangled by some of them. And then there's these damn fools blowing things up. My hair wasn't this gray 5 years ago, you know. I swear, one of these days, I'm just going to pack it all up and retire. Let someone else deal with these damn things.
I'll be going now.
So how are we gonna find out who this, Oh, you can actually examine it now.
Completely ruined. Whoever sabotaged this knew what they were doing.
Huh? How come last time
Completely ruined. This place sure is big.
Wait, area.
Hey, that area is for workers only.
My apologies.
Guess we'll put a pin on that one.
You there! What are you doing?
I'm Miles Fordham. I'm trying to find out about...
No time for that now! Get in here and shield your eyes!
I beg your pardon?
Just do it!
What's going on exactly?
Shh! Everything ready, Alex? 3, 2,
what the hell?
1, go! Amazing! It works! It works!
What works?
Etheric lamps! Our experiment was a success!
What exactly have we wandered into here, Miles?
May I ask you a few questions?
Of course! What would you like to know?
You worked with a man named Burley Cause, is that right?
Yes, I heard he was killed. Such a senseless tragedy. It's a shame he missed out on our demonstration. He was really interested in etheric technology.
Wasn't he concerned about losing his job to these technological advances?
He had no reason to. It's been made clear to all the workers that there will always be a place for us, even if our jobs are made obsolete. Unlike some other places, we take care of our own here at the Lamplight Depot.
How noble. But I'm pretty sure he's full of more hot air than the HMS Lenore.
Is there anything you know about Mr. Cause's personal life that might be relevant?
I know he was married, but I don't believe he had any children. Oh, and he used to talk about his love for fishing.
Could you give me his home address? Perhaps his wife will be willing to speak with me.
Yes, certainly. He lived at 820 Orchard Avenue, apartment 2A.
Thank you for the information. Do you know any details about Mr. Cause's murder?
Unfortunately, I don't. The police were here asking questions, but they didn't give me many details.
Do you know of anyone who might have wanted him dead?
Not at all. Burley was very friendly, always treated everyone around here with respect. You know, it's sad to think that for all our leaps forward, we're still really just a bunch of savages.
Are you familiar with the Justice Killer?
I've read about it in the newspaper. A horrible business. It makes me wish we could install more street lamps to keep this city safer at night. Someday, I hope to realize that dream. Then we'll really deserve to be called Lamplight City.
You think brighter streets will stop serial
name of the game.
murderers?
It's well known that crime rates are lower in Lyon and Worcester, and they have many more street lamps per square mile.
I'm sure it has absolutely nothing to do with the amount of wealth in those areas. Has to be all about the lighting.
Yep. Sounds about right.
You mentioned something about etheric lamps?
Yes! Weren't you paying attention to our demonstration? You have just witnessed history!
What I witnessed was a blinding flash of light.
Exactly! That flash was the result of years of painstaking research and experimentation. It means that not only does ethericity exist, but it can be used as a source of illumination. If these experiments continue to be successful, as I suspect they will, we'll have etheric street lamps before the end of the decade. Imagine lamps that burn twice as bright, 4 times as long. Oh, this will change everything.
Doesn't sound that
And
exciting.
if it's like anything else we've seen, it'll put a lot of people out of work, too.
With all these promises of technological advancement, have the Redites given you any trouble?
Oh, those tech-fearing dolts. Yes, I'm sorry to say that we've gotten threats from them. They have yet to carry any out, which is unsurprising.
How so?
Groups like that are all bluster and no backbone.
I've seen some evidence to the contrary.
Is that right? Well, we've seen little beyond threatening letters, and I intend to make sure it stays that way.
Do you have any of these letters I might have a look at?
Yes, I have one. I'll give it to you before you leave.
What is it you do here exactly?
Oh, several things. This is the main hub of the city's Department of Illumination. It's really just a grandiose way of saying that this is where all affairs related to street lamps and public lighting are taken care of. But in addition to sending out lamplighters or mechanics to repair damaged lamps, we also do research into new methods of illumination. That's what my personal specialization is. I help develop and test more efficient ways of lighting our streets. I guess you could consider me a modern-day Prometheus. Yes.
More like an everyday pretentious.
Thank you. Your cooperation is much appreciated.
Happy to help. Here's that letter you were asking about.
Huh. EF?
Now that's interesting. Whoever wrote this letter signed it with initials. They can't have been so stupid as to make themselves so easily identifiable, can they?
I wouldn't get too close to that thing. It might end up turning you inside out. So this is where all the lamps in the city come from. I can't believe I never bothered finding out before. There's the bunch of crap they used to build street lamps with. Too bad you didn't get a chance to read that sign before their little experiment.
Guess we can go check out the guy's house.
Apartment 2A. This is the place. The number is a bit faded. Is this 2B? Or is it not 2B? That's the question.
Oh my god, that joke.
And I thought the housekeeping in my apartment was bad. There doesn't seem to be anyone at home.
Yeah? May I help you, young man?
Hello, madam. My name is Miles Fordham, and I'm a private investigator. I have some questions about your neighbor.
You mean my former neighbor?
Yes. In any case, I'd appreciate it if you could help me with some information.
Nah, I don't think
Wow.
so. The last person to ask me about him was that awful policeman. I don't want to have to go through that again.
I'm sorry you had a bad experience, but I can assure you I won't give you a hard time.
I've never
Well,
watched
that's
that
easy
show.
for you to say, but actions speak louder than words.
Uh-oh. I think I know where this is going.
Is there anything I can do for you then?
Well, since you asked, my layabout husband is out wasting our retirement fund with his drinking. Go find him and bring him back
Oh my
here.
God.
Then maybe we can talk.
Side quests.
Oh, wonderful. Now we're playing babysitter.
You'll find him at the Silent Raven. It's not too
Oh.
far from here.
Yes, I know it.
Good. My husband's name is Kurt Williamson. You tell him his wife Ethel wants him home at once.
I'll do my best, Mrs. Williamson.
Okay, I haven't saved it in a while. Okay, back to the Silent Raven. Wow, he's still
Looks
in that
like
line?
they haven't bothered cleaning this up yet.
Excuse
Any
me,
reason to
barmaid?
talk to her?
Hi, what do you need?
Do you know anything about the man sitting at that table over there?
Not really. He comes in here a few times a week, but he mostly keeps to himself. I see his type all the time, though. Older, probably retired and looking to escape his home life. I feel sorry for him, but that sort of customer is my bread and butter.
Are you familiar with the Justice Killer?
What is that, some fancy drink concoction?
No. It's the name that's been given to a serial murderer here in the Chump.
I see. Never heard of him. And if he's smart, he won't show his face round here.
You know, this place suddenly feels just a little bit safer.
How are things here now that the election hubbub has subsided?
Oh, right. I thought you looked familiar.
Wow,
You were the
didn't
one
even
in here
recognize us.
asking about the fellow who was killed.
That's right.
Well, there hasn't been too much excitement since then. I've hardly had to toss anyone out, which is a right shame.
Why's that?
Kicking out a rowdy customer shakes things up a bit on a quiet night like this. Gets the blood flowing, you know?
What would a customer have to do to warrant being thrown out?
My general rule is if they're being a nuisance, they're out. If they try to pick a fight or are
Oh,
just
no.
being generally disrespectful, it's a one-way ticket to the pavement outside.
We're gonna have to
Good
get
to
him
know.
thrown out.
I appreciate you taking the time to chat.
Yeah.
Time to get him pissed off.
Excuse me, are you Kurt Williamson?
That's right. Who are you?
Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator.
Oh, yeah? What is it you want from me?
Ethel sent me to tell you she wants you to come home right away.
I should have known. I can't get away for more than a few hours before she's put the entire city on high alert. How much of my retirement fund did she waste on getting you to come down here?
I'm only doing this because I need some information.
The joke's on you, then. You can just go back and tell her I'll come home when I'm damn well ready.
Why is it you're so averse to returning home?
I enjoy going out and having a good time. Is that so wrong?
Your wife told me she doesn't like you spending your money on drink.
What I spend my money on is none of her business, and even less of yours. What's this world coming to when a man can't even drink in peace without all his affairs shouted from the rooftops?
You know, this whole situation seems awfully familiar.
Listen, Mr. Williamson, I think I know what you're going through.
Oh, yeah?
My wife and I were having a rough patch. I wasn't being honest with her, and it nearly drove us apart.
But you managed to fix things.
Yes, I was fortunate. I did the right thing before it was too late.
And what did you do?
Oh, why would I say that?
It was simple. I just communicated honestly and openly with her. I told her what was wrong and how I was feeling. And you know what? She listened. Have you ever told Ethel why you like going out?
No. I assumed she wouldn't understand. I really wish she would come out with me, but I know she'd never agree.
How do you know? Have you actually talked to her about this?
Well, no.
Counseling this poor
Then
guy.
maybe you should. If she knew you wanted company, she might just give it a try.
You know, I never thought of it like that. I'm going to go home right now and tell her. And if she refuses, well, at least I asked, right?
That's the spirit.
Thanks for the advice, friend. I
We
really
just
do appreciate
We need the
it.
feel-good Yakuza music to be playing here.
Not bad. I have to say, I'm impressed.
So is there any reason to talk to her? Just wanna
Excuse
make
me,
sure.
barmaid?
Hi, what do you need?
So why can you ask her about this multiple times?
What was it you said a person had to do to get...
Pick a fight?
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess that's like an alternate way of doing it, getting him thrown out. You chose the nice route. So I guess if we go back here... Why'd you not give us any info now?
Ah, Mr. Fordham, thank you so much for getting Kurt back home.
Don't mention it. Now, would you be willing to answer some questions?
Well, yes, of course.
Tell me what you know about Burley Cause.
He and his wife hadn't been living next door very long, maybe 4 months or so. But I didn't talk to either of them very much. They weren't interested in being neighborly, I guess. It's a shame, really. Maybe if we had known one another better, something like this could have been prevented.
What happened on the day Mr. Cause was killed?
I was here, at home, doing my knitting as usual. All of a sudden, I heard a loud bang. It sounded like a gunshot. I went and knocked on Mrs. Cause's door, but there was no answer. I did notice a smell, though, like flowers. Something seemed wrong, so I decided to report the incident to the police. Not long after that, an officer showed up and started asking questions. Awful man he was, so rude. I gotta report him, but I forgot his name. I think it started with a P.
Parsons?
Yes.
Yeah, I just
that's him.
realized.
He called for some more officers, and they got into the apartment.
This was the case that we sent
That's when
Parsons
I found
towards.
out Mr. Cause had been murdered.
I forgot about that. It said something about someone getting shot and the smell of flowers.
Where is Mrs. Cause now?
I don't know, with her mother, maybe. That's usually how it goes.
You wouldn't happen to know where that is, would you?
Afraid not, but there is one other thing.
Yes?
Don't say I told you this, but, well, I used to hear the two of them through my wall. I tried ignoring it since it's really none of my business, but it became impossible.
What was it you heard?
I don't believe they had a happy marriage. They'd have awful fights a couple times a week.
What would they fight about?
Oh, all sorts of things. The worst one was when she discovered he was going to a brothel. I think he might have hit her on a few occasions, too. But it can't be
Yeah,
said.
that seems like a common
I hope
thing.
you don't think me a horrible old gossip, but I thought you might like to know.
Not at all. I'm glad you told me.
So it sounds like that Ruby woman and beating their wives is the thing they have in common.
Are you familiar with the Justice Killer?
You mean the serial killer who's been killing men in Chumley?
That's the one.
Nah, never heard of him.
What?
I'm just pulling your leg, Mr. Fordham.
I like this one. She's got spirit.
Unfortunately, I only know what I've read in the Gazette, but it's scary to think some maniac is loose on the streets doing such terrible things. And with Kurt going out by himself for hours at a time, oh, I don't like it one bit.
How long have you been living here?
Well, Kurt and I moved in shortly after we were married, so it's been about 34 years.
Goodness, that's a long time to be living in one place.
Yes, well, the building may be a bit run down, and it gets colder than cold in the winter, but the rent has always been cheap. You can't really ask for much more than that.
I appreciate your time, Mrs. Williamson.
Have a good day, Mr. Fordham.
Okay, so we're making some progress here. Oh, well, we don't know that brothel yet. We haven't been to the cab depot yet. Let's see what's going on here.
Remember, a black eye is not a badge of honor. Anyone picking a fight will be dismissed immediately. Well, that's hardly any fun, is it? A good old reliable hansom cab. Nothing fancy, just gets you from point A to point B, the way it should be. I thought about a career as a mechanic once. Glad I chose police work. Way less messy.
Good evening.
Oh, it's you again. Small world.
Indeed. Mr. Shaw, was it?
That's right.
Who's he again?
What brings you around to the cab depot?
I wanted to ask you some questions if you can spare some time.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Oh, this guy. That was a long time ago.
Did you know Reggie Willingham?
Reggie? Sure, I knew him. Well, just as rather I didn't.
Oh? Why do you say that?
The man was a bore, a scoundrel, a no-good bounder.
I wish he would tell us how he really felt.
Only reason they kept him on here was because he was a good driver.
So it's fair to say you didn't like him?
Nobody did. When I heard he'd been killed, it wasn't exactly a surprise. If I treated people the way he did, I'd surely have a lot of enemies.
Could you elaborate a bit on Mr. Willingham's behavior?
Oh, he was a proud one. Thought he was God's gift to mankind. Always strutting around, bragging about how many gratuities he'd earned or how many fist fights he'd won against drivers from Phillips. He had the shortest fuse I've ever seen, too. Just looking at him the wrong way could set him off. I'd always laugh to myself when he'd brag about how many women he'd had in a week.
Why is that?
Because it was obvious he had to pay for the pleasure. A man like that isn't going to get a woman otherwise.
Wow.
I may not be a hit with the ladies, but even I know that being a bastard is a surefire way to drive them off.
Are you familiar with the so-called Justice Killer?
I've heard a few rumors here and there about some murders in the Chum, but I haven't paid them much attention. There's plenty for me to worry about in my own life.
Aren't you concerned for your safety?
Not really. Well, I haven't done anything wrong. So if this loony's going around doing justice, nothing for me to worry about.
He makes a good point. I think we need to get a better idea of what exactly these victims did to incur the wrath of our killer.
I think we're getting an idea.
What can you tell me about Colson Cabs?
Not a bad place, really. Only problem is the number of people always coming here for work. Lots of folks think driving a cab is an easy job that anyone can do, but that's not the case. You need to know this city like the back of your hand, and it helps to know how to drive. So we get lots of fellas starting here who don't have the slightest clue what they're doing. They don't last long.
What about the automated cabs? Are those a problem for you?
I prefer not to think about those. Colson said he's got no plans to replace his fleet, so it's all that matters to me.
Are you still living in Pumblechook Place?
I am, sir. Things are more or less the same, except Roger's not around anymore. Suppose he must have moved on. Hope he isn't planning on coming back, because his paintings made for great kindling.
Oh, I have a feeling he won't be. Have you had any trouble from the Redites?
No, sir. They got no reason to give us any trouble, what with us still using horse-drawn cabs. I imagine the fellas over at Phillips have, but I can't be certain. We don't deal with those lot if we can help it.
I don't think interviewing anyone from Phillips would be a good use of our time. Our priority is finding the Justice Killer, after all.
I appreciate your time, sir.
Pleasure's all mine.
We got now. Surfing girl at the coffee house. We already did that. Okay, Ruby. Iron mill. I don't know about that one. Oh, oops. Guess we can try going back here. I don't know if we have what we need though.
She's busy. No point bothering her if we've got...
There's something I missed here.
Completely ruined. Whoever sabotaged this knew what they were doing.
Got no information on it.
Mr. Mims, a word if you wouldn't mind?
No, I guess we have something to ask him.
What is it?
Oh, no, never mind. It's, yeah, the same one.
Are you sure you can't tell me anything about Hannibal Kirkland?
It's like I've told you.
I'll be going.
Be careful.
So how are we gonna find out who did this? Could always check in police station.
Chief Snelling?
Yes, Fordham?
Have you got any information on the Redites?
The Redites? That ridiculous gang of troublemakers? Yes, I have some information. What's your interest in them?
A witness is refusing to speak with me unless I can figure out who sabotaged his iron mill.
I see. All I can offer is a list of names of known Redites along with their last known whereabouts. But I remind you that you only have until tomorrow afternoon before this indulgence expires, and I throw you in jail. This seems like a waste of time.
That's my decision to make.
Very well. I'll give you the list when you're ready to leave.
I need to get back to my investigation.
Yes. Time is not on your side,
I think
Fordham.
someone on this list is gonna be important.
Here you are.
Possibly
This is
Ruby?
the most recent list of known Redites.
This is a lot of names. If we're going to track down this saboteur, it might be best to retire to a more tranquil environment. Fancy a trip back to Upton's?
These are just random names.
Right. This should be a quiet enough spot to concentrate on finding that saboteur. I just hope Upton doesn't mind you turning her parlor into your own personal study.
I'm sure she'll have no objection. Now, let's have a look at that list again.
I think we can rule out Mr. Sullivan as a suspect. He's Western Vespuccia's problem now. Unless Mr. McKee has escaped from prison, which I highly doubt, he's not our man. Paris Wilson. Those initials don't match the ones on the letter. I don't think this is our suspect.
Oh, wasn't it PF?
If dead men could cause explosions, let's just say things would be a lot different. This clearly isn't the right suspect. Peyton Ferguson. The initials match those on the letter we got at the Lamplight depot.
I'd say it's our best bet.
Lucian Donaldson. Those initials don't match the ones on the letter. I don't think this person is our suspect.
Wait, why are these... You still go to these places even though... It's a little strange. I wonder if there's anything with them. Check out this place first.
Well, who's this lovely specimen?
Allow me to introduce Peyton Ferguson, known Redite and prime suspect in a sabotage at the Thorbomb Ironworks. I picked him up and brought him straight to you.
Ooh, a saboteur. Just leave him to me and I'll make him feel right at home.
Please find the Justice Killer soon, Miles. Being Giles' prisoner is not my idea of a good time.
Right. I'll leave you to it then.
Huh. Can I arrest the other two? No. So we can't do anything with that?
Mr. Mims, a word if you wouldn't mind?
Yes, what is it?
I found the person responsible for sabotaging your iron mill.
Oh, yeah?
Well...
His name is Peyton Ferguson. He's currently at the Bow Street Jail.
Hey,
A little
not
flimsy,
bad.
really.
I owe you one, Detective.
He certainly does.
I mean, we have a letter that they sent to the other guy? That's not really much evidence.
What can you tell me about Hannibal Kirkland?
Good worker. Mostly kept to himself. Real shame what happened to him.
Do you know if anyone here disliked Kirkland?
Enough to want him dead? Nah. There's the occasional scrap, but everyone around here gets along for the most part. Like I said, he mostly kept to himself. Head down, didn't bother nobody.
Do you know what he did outside of work?
No idea. I only ever saw him here.
You said Kirkland was a good worker?
One of my best. I knew something was up when he didn't show up for a couple of days. Don't think he'd ever missed work before.
Did he have any personal effects he kept here, or an area where he worked?
He had a cabinet downstairs in the workers' changing area, just like everyone else. You can go take a look if you want, but I don't think the police found anything. Kirkland's cabinet is the third one from the left.
I'll be going now.
Be careful on your way out.
Let's see what we can find in here.
At least having a heater down here manages to keep things warm. I remember the changing rooms at the police station were always ice cold. Sounds like there's someone in there. If you weren't so bashful, I'd suggest joining in. You could certainly use it.
Oh, jeez. How am I supposed to know this? Do I have anything? Wait, it was him that... Yeah, the ironworker. Yeah, we don't have any clues on the numbers.
Just another unmarked storage cabinet. Just another... Sounds like there's someone in...
Where would I find that? There's no confirm anywhere. Technically you could just guess, but that would take forever. Have to just go like this, it would take 10 years to find it. Yeah, not doing that. I haven't seen any numbers around.
Mr. Mims, a word if you wouldn't mind?
Yes, what is it?
Would you happen to know the combination to Hannibal Kirkland's cabinet?
No. Every worker sets their own combination, and I don't ask for it.
What happens if they were to forget it?
Well, have them come up with some sort of personal reminder and keep those in a file.
And do you still have Kirkland's?
I'll give it to you as soon as we're done talking.
I'll be going now.
Be careful on your way out. There you go. You're lucky I only clean out my files at the end of the year.
See, I always told you I wasn't disorganized. Just preparing for the future.
Shipwreck? Red and white. Sign. The shipwreck would be 6, right? The picture that's in there? What's the red and white in the sign? Oh, the sign would be... here, right? Yeah, I noticed this. 7. So, 6. What is the red and white, though?
At least having a heater down here...
Guess we can just guess it from here, right? So where am I supposed to get 8 from?
Empty. That's disappointing.
Not completely empty. There's something at the bottom here.
I guess this is the club that we heard about.
It seems our friend Hannibal had a few extracurricular activities after all.
Gilded lily, huh? That's a bit suspicious.
Who knew such a pretty flower could cause such an inconvenience? The answer to that question is me, in case you were wondering. Flowers bring nothing but trouble. Trouble and snot.
That's enough, Bill. We need to get a move on.
Now I'm confused where you're supposed to get the second number from. I guess it doesn't matter, but... it'd be nice to know. Oh, red and white, 8 days. Right there.
Well, hello there,
Wait a minute,
handsome.
Louis?
Welcome to the Gilded Lily. Come over here and tell me what kind of pleasure it is you're looking for.
Oh, no.
I'm afraid I'm here for business, not pleasure.
Oh, well, that's just a shame, isn't it?
I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. And you are?
You can call me Serafina. I'm in charge of this establishment.
You won't mind if I take a look around or ask you some questions?
As long as you keep to the front room, you can do whatever you like. Beyond that, you're gonna have to pay.
Maybe it's best if you leave this part out when you tell Adelaide about the case later. Oh, my virgin eyes. I'm not too familiar with places like this, but I believe that's where the fun happens, if you've got the crowns for it.
Place is too
What a
lewd.
charming statue. Wouldn't she get cold fetching water in that state of undress? You certainly won't find art like that at the National Gallery. Looks nervous. Wonder if this is his first time.
May I ask you a few questions, Serafina?
Of course you may, but I can't guarantee the answers will be free.
Why does she have an eye patch?
Do you know anything about the Justice Killer?
I'm afraid not, dear. I don't normally associate with killers.
Are you sure you don't know anything? He's the reason I'm here.
Well, I can assure you I know nothing about your murderer. If the trail has led you here, it's surely just coincidence.
Yeah, she seems awfully certain of that. It's a good thing we don't believe in coincidences.
Did you have a man named Hannibal Kirkland as a client?
I make it my practice not to learn the names of any customers here, Mr. Fordham. I hate to disappoint anyone who comes through those doors, but discretion is paramount in this business.
Well, at least you know you can trust these women with your secrets.
Do you by chance have a girl named Ruby in your service?
Ruby? Yes, she's one of our newest girls. She's not in any sort of trouble, is she?
Not at all. I merely wanted to speak with her.
Well, she should be in the dressing room. If you go through the rear door and follow the hallway down, it's the last door on the left.
I see. Thank you. Did you know Percival McDonough?
The politician? I knew who he was, but never met him personally.
He was seeing Ruby, wasn't he?
Not regularly, no. In fact, his first and only visit with her was yesterday.
Were you aware that he was murdered shortly after that?
I had no idea. How terrible.
Yes, it is terrible. This means she's lost a potential repeat customer.
This is a lovely establishment you have, and such a nice name, too.
Thank you, my dear. It wasn't always called the Gilded Lily, though. We were formerly known as Le Maison de Tolérance.
What inspired the name change?
Ah, that's a bit of a long story. Not worth getting into.
How long have you been operating?
Going on 25 years. Business has been good. There's a reason this is the world's oldest profession, you know.
So, how did you get into this business?
Like many of the other girls, it was the best of some bad options. I had no interest in being beholden to a husband. I may be a fallen woman, but better to fly and fall than to have your wings clipped.
Do you enjoy the work?
It's a job like any other, Mr. Fordham. There are good days and there are bad days. But my girls are my family. We take care of each other. I couldn't ask for anything better.
Thank you for your time.
Of course, my dear.
Huh. I have this strange feeling this Ruby woman is the killer or knows the killer.
Oh, hello. Did Serafina send you back here for me?
Yes, but not for the usual reasons. I'm a private investigator. My name is Miles Fordham. Ruby, I presume?
Yes, that's right. What do you need from me?
Just some information.
Well, I'll do my best.
The girls here don't get much in the way of a dressing area. Still, something is better than nothing, I suppose.
This place is pretty beaten down. What's going on over here?
Cut down in her prime. I can relate. That's a nice locket for being such a cheap piece of jewelry. No lilies? Seems like a missed opportunity.
The heck is this? 3132213. Combination of something.
I'm guessing this is where most of the girls keep their personal belongings. Doesn't seem to offer much in the way of privacy.
Surprised she didn't try to stop us.
So, Ruby,
Yes?
have you heard of the Justice Killer?
No, I don't believe so.
He's a serial murderer who's killed 5 victims, mostly men from Chumley.
Oh dear. That sounds dreadful. Is that what you're investigating?
It is. Do you know anyone who might have some information about him?
I don't. Sorry I can't be more help.
Did you ever have a client named Hannibal Kirkland?
No, that name doesn't sound familiar. Sorry.
Do you know Ennis Bowditch?
Bowditch? Didn't think I'd be hearing that name again.
As I understand it, he was seeing your friend, the serving girl at the ruined coffee house.
Yeah, that's right. Annabelle. She broke things off with him a while ago, though.
So she said. Did you ever know him to be violent?
Violent? The bastard nearly beat Annabelle's brains in once. Why do you think she chucked him?
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
At least she had the good sense to get rid of him.
Perhaps we should go confirm this newly discovered fact with Annabelle.
Did you ever meet a man named Burley Cause?
No, I never met him, but one of the other girls had him as a client. I remember because she was laughing about his name. He wasn't very burly, if you get my meaning.
Right.
So all the guys came here. That's...
Are you familiar with Reggie Willingham?
Oh, him? He had to be banned from here.
Really? What happened?
He got way too rough with one of the girls. She ended up shy a few teeth.
Dear Lord.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently he wasn't too fond of boundaries. Good riddance to him, I say.
So they all came here,
aware
and
that
they're all
Mr. Willingham
angry
was
people
murdered?
who beat their wives.
What? Oh, well, now I feel terrible
Or
for
other
saying
women's.
good riddance. I meant...
I think I know what you meant, Ruby. It's fine.
Is it me, or is there a pattern starting to emerge here?
Yeah. Pretty big pattern.
You met recently with Percival McDonough, is that right?
How did you know that? I thought he was meant to keep those sorts of things private.
He had your name written down in his calendar.
And you found me here based on that?
Well, I am a detective.
Suppose that's true. Anyway, yes. I only met him the one time. There wasn't anything remarkable about him. After we finished, he got all emotional about his wife, but I could hardly understand what he was saying. I hate it when they cry afterwards.
How long have you been in this business?
Only a few months now. Used to work at a kitchen, but then they brought in some of those new automated machines.
Sadly familiar story.
At least this profession isn't in any danger of being made obsolete by steam tech.
I mean...
Cold steel can never replace a warm touch.
Let's just hope that's true.
I'll just leave you to it then.
Thanks, love.
Okay, got some nice information from that. Oh wait, we didn't look at the painting, did we?
Lily, 1809 to 1843. I wonder what happened to her.
What is that number about, though? Wait, it didn't go in here? Oh, rolled up paper. Number sequence 313221. What does that even mean? Guess we can come back. Go talk to that Annabelle person. Something we can ask her?
May I ask you a few questions, Serafina?
Of course you may, but I can't guarantee the answers will be free.
Could you tell me about the young lady in the portrait hanging in the back room?
Ah, that's Lily Peterson. She was a wonderful woman and a great friend.
What happened to her?
It's a rather tragic story, Mr. Fordham. I'd rather not go into too much detail. The short version is this. She was with a client who got very carried away. She was able to defend herself enough to mortally wound the bastard, but the damage had already been done. The girls and I decided among us that we would rename this establishment in her honor. Some days it's still hard to believe she's gone. I haven't even been able to get rid of her box of things.
I'm very sorry for your loss, Serafina.
Thank you, dear. It was especially awful given Lily's past. Her sister died at the hands of her own husband some 16 years before.
So where's this box?
Some people just can't escape tragedy, no matter how far they run.
Huh. Something tells me these deaths are significant. It might be a good idea to learn as much as we can about Lily Peterson.
Thank you for your time.
Of course, my dear.
Okay, before I leave, I want to go back to talk to her about it. Yeah, I figured.
So, Ruby.
Yes?
That's a rather nice portrait. Who's the subject?
Oh, that's Lily. Before my time. Serafina knows loads about her. Even changed the name of this place in her honor. You might try asking her if you want to know more.
Serafina told me that Lily's possessions are still here. Do you know where they're kept?
Yeah, in that cabinet over there. Lily had a special place in Serafina's heart. I don't think she has the nerve to get rid of this stuff yet.
Do you think I could take a look through it?
Oh, I don't know.
Serafina never has to know. I promise I'll only look, not touch.
If I had a crown for every time I'd heard that.
Wow.
But, alright. As long as you keep your word and don't take anything from the box, I'll let you have a look. I'll get it for you after.
I'll just leave you to it then.
Thanks, love. There you go. All yours for the browsing.
Let's see what we have in here. Nice scarf, impressively clean, too. Lily clearly took care of her things. A cheap ring. Must have had sentimental value, because otherwise there'd be no point in keeping it. These don't look too valuable. One of 3 buttons with an engraved lily on it. I wonder if they're just decorative, or if they have some other purpose.
Where is it now? 3132213.
Well now, I think we just found ourselves a bonanza.
So this is from the killer. Huh. Wait,
It's kind of sad that Lily kept that letter all these years.
what was it that one said again? Sister's son, so whoever that is, It's the killer. Oh, we're making some progress.
The girl's here.
Whoops.
So, Ruby,
Yes?
I found this letter inside a secret compartment in the box belonging to Lily. Do you know anything about it?
I thought we agreed you wouldn't take anything from there.
This is a special case. This letter's from Lily's nephew, the Justice Killer.
Oh, I see. Look, I've only been here a short time. I don't know anything about Lily or any killers or anything, I swear.
You know, I think she's telling the truth.
I'll just leave you to it then.
Thanks, love.
May I ask you a few questions, Serafina?
Of course you may, but I can't guarantee the answer.
Serafina, what can you tell me about Lily's nephew?
Her nephew? I didn't know she had a nephew. Lily didn't talk much about her family, as you can probably imagine.
You're not lying to me, are you?
I have nothing to hide from you.
Except maybe the truth. But I don't think we have what we need to make her talk. If there even is anything that would make her talk.
Thank you for your time.
Of course, my dear.
So I guess if we go back to the police station to find out, maybe. Should have this wrapped up soon, it feels like.
Chief Snelling?
Yes, Fordham?
Do you recall a murder involving a woman named Lily Peterson about a year ago?
Lily Peterson? Yes, that name does sound familiar. Of course, the prostitute murder. That wasn't one of yours, was it?
No, it wasn't. Do you remember any other details?
As I recall, the woman was beaten severely by one of her clients, who escaped and was never found. She died a few days later in the hospital. How is this of any relevance, exactly?
That's what I'm trying to piece together. Did you know that Lily Peterson had a sister who was killed some 16 years ago?
I didn't. Are you suggesting that's related somehow?
I think it is. Would you be able to get me the case file?
What was the victim's name?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
That might be a bit more difficult, unless you can give me more details.
I'll try my best.
Very well. What year did you say the case was from?
Oh, what year is it now in the game? So it should be... to do math here. Shouldn't it be 28? Because it's 44 right now, isn't it?
It was 16 years ago, so 1828.
Right. And who was the detective assigned to the case?
Oh, what are you giving me these two joke answers?
It was Lester Barnett.
Right. He was quite active in those days. And what was the victim's official cause of death?
Oh, shit.
It was a shooting.
All right. I'll have a look and see if I find anything. There's nothing I can see that matches the information you gave me. I suggest you get your details.
Oh, choke.
Chief Snell.
Yes.
What? It was
right.
It was
right, and
it was strangulation.
All right. Yes. Here we are. This should be a match. Have a look.
Huh. So he strangled her and then shot himself?
No need to talk to him just now. Thank God.
So I guess if we show that to her...
We've exhausted her.
Or to her?
I think we're good.
No, do we not get anything out of that? What am I missing here? So we know the name Collins. Oh yeah, whoops. Oh yeah, did I go back to her? Hey, proscription. How's it going?
Begging your pardon, miss.
How can I help you, sir?
I spoke with your friend Ruby. She told me something quite disturbing.
What was that?
She said that Ennis had fits of violence, and that the reason you ended your relationship was because he hit you.
Why would she tell you that? That was my secret to tell, not hers. I thought we were friends.
It's obvious she cares about you and is worried about your well-being.
Pretty good.
Well, it hardly matters now Ennis is dead, does it?
But is it true? Did he raise his hand to you?
Yes. It is true. As I said before, something changed in him. I have no idea what, but I had to get away.
I see. Thank you for your honesty. I'm sorry you had to experience what you did. I'll let you get back to work.
Thank you, sir.
Solving cases here?
Fordham, I think the pieces are all falling into place. The man we're looking for is Lily Peterson's nephew, last name Collins. We know his motive and how he chooses his victims. All we have to do now is locate him. But I think that's best left for the morning. It's getting rather late.
Huh, this is the first case to go multiple days.
What was that?
Sounded like it came from Upton's room.
No!
Uh-oh.
What's he doing here? How did he find you?
You tricked me!
Mr. Collins, we meet again.
Do I know you? Of course. The rooftop. I'm sorry about what happened to your partner. It wasn't my intent for him to die.
Oh, he's sorry, is he? Is that supposed to make things better?
I suppose this encounter was inevitable.
Damn it, Miles! Of all the times not to have a gun.
What did you do with Upton? I swear, if you've hurt her...
She's had a nasty blow, but she'll recover. Luckily, I realized my mistake before it was too late.
You mean you're not planning on killing her too?
No! Why would you even suggest that?
Bit of a sore spot there, it seems.
Why are you murdering people?
I'm doing the world a favor.
How?
By bringing justice to those who deserve it.
You consider shooting people in the head justice?
I don't expect you to understand.
How in the ether did you find me?
That part was easy. I had my informants follow you and tell me where you'd gone.
Informants?
Of course, if I'd known you weren't sleeping in the bedroom, this would have been much easier.
Informants?
You've been asking questions, getting too close to finding me.
Of course, the Gilded Lily.
So I had to come here and make sure you didn't get any closer. It's nothing personal. I just can't have my work interrupted. Not yet. There remains so much to be done.
All these killings. It's because of what happened to your aunt and mother, isn't it?
So you do understand. Lily and my mother both died senseless, violent deaths. The men responsible were cowards.
Wasn't one of them your father?
Yes, but at least he realized his mistake and did the honorable thing.
It's one way of putting it.
These other men, they went on as if it were nothing, as though violating the trust and sanctity of their so-called loved ones didn't matter. It's sickening. They needed to be taught the error of their ways.
You said there was still so much to be done. How long are you planning on continuing this?
As long as it takes to scrub the city of its filth.
And then what? You'll just go back to your ordinary life?
My life will never be ordinary again. Once I'm done here, I can always go somewhere else. There's plenty of work to be done in this world.
Wonderful. A vigilante lunatic. Just what the world needs.
I can't let you continue this madness. The killing needs to end.
Surely you, of all people, can appreciate the need for justice.
There are other ways of upholding justice, Collins. Ways that don't involve mass murder.
The system is broken. Criminals get away all the time. You know that.
Only too well.
I admit I came here to kill you. It was against everything I believe in, but it seemed necessary. But you comprehend my situation. You understand my reasons for doing what I do.
Understanding is not the same as approval.
But it is the first step.
Is this bastard really suggesting what I think he is?
All I ask is that you allow me to continue my work in peace. You looked the other way once before. You can do it again.
You're right. I did look the other way, and it wound up costing my partner his life. You're out of your mind if you think I'm going to just let you keep killing.
Damn right, Miles. This has to end.
Then you leave me no choice.
Oh shit. Oh, nice.
Fordham, are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine.
Upped in to save
what
the
about
day.
you? Did he hurt you?
Just a bump on the head, but I'll live. So this was the Justice Killer?
That's right. I'm sure Snelling will be pleased to know you put him out of commission.
I don't give a rotten fig if he does or not. I'm not going back to work for him.
No? Then what will you do?
Later, Miles. We'll figure something out. You stay here with Mr. Justice. I'll go and summon the police.
Why do I feel like they're gonna arrest me? Something just feels off
Quite a
about
night,
this.
hey, Bill? Bill? Are you
Bill's
there?
gone.
Bill?
It's finally over.
It's good of you to do this, Miles. Do you need some time alone?
If you wouldn't mind.
All right. I'll wait for you over by the sycamores.
Nice, we even got Adelaide back.
So, it's finally over. I have to admit, it's been strange not hearing you all the time anymore. Never in a million years did I think I would actually miss it. But the important thing is you've moved on, and I got what I was looking for. I'm starting up my own private detective agency, you know. Addie and Upton are going to be my partners.
Nice.
It should be interesting, to say the least. Oh, that reminds me. I brought you a little something. It's not much, but I thought you might appreciate it. Thank you for all your help, Bill.
So that's
I
like
truly
we're
wouldn't have
glad
been
he's
lost without
dead
it.
on that guy's grave. Can't read what the name is supposed to be though. It clearly says we're glad he's, and then there's a D.
Goodbye, old friend. I love you.
And this game was really fun though. Kind of feels like a little bit of an anticlimactic end though, I have to say. Happened a little too quickly. Like I was okay with what happened, it just felt a little quick there at the end. It was a fun game though. I kind of wonder how decisions affect things, and that I'll have to read up on that after. What is this song? So I don't know what I'm gonna stream for the rest of the week. Maybe I'll go back to Mario Kart or something for a bit. This is a fun game, though. I wonder if this is one of those games you can skip the credits or not. Oh, yeah, you can. That's it. That's a quick ending. Anyways, GG's. That was Lamplight City. So I feel like you saw it fall and all that, because I'm done streaming for the night. It's been almost 4 hours. Anyone else streaming that I can host? Deathwing streaming. Streaming Silent. Oh wait, no. Streaming Doom 64. Go watch Deathwing. I will see you guys later.